making better radio operators one member at a time with Mike from the National Amateur Radio Alliance, next on Live Free and Ham. Hello, and welcome to Live Free and Ham podcast. This is our weekly show where we discuss ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. We're thrilled to have you here, and so whether you're a regular listener or maybe you've been tuning in for the first time, we appreciate you coming and hang out with us during this episode, and thanks again for being part of the Live Free and Ham community. So let's get into the show. I'm your host, Eric, callsign N1JUR, and I'm with one of my hosts tonight.
Todd, W1STJ.
Grouch is currently having, we'll say, PC issues. I don't know what that means. It could be taken however you want, but he is not going to be with us tonight, which is a bummer, but he'll be here in spirit. But we are graced with Mike here. Mike, go ahead and say hello.
He's muted.
You're muted, Mike. You muted? No, we lost your audio.
I like to talk to myself, as long as I don't start answering myself. Hey everyone, I'm Mike, W4OPS.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're going to get into some really good stuff here tonight. Obviously, Grouch is not here, so I have to announce in advance those that were, so patiently waiting for something about Todd or something extra about Todd, you're not going to get it tonight. It's just the way it goes.
I've been studying too. I was all ready tonight, so I'll have to wait till next week.
So with that, we're going to just get into our regular topic updates here, let you know how you can be part of the Live Free and Ham community. And you can do that, obviously, in several ways. Simple, easy stuff is connect with us online. Head on over to our Discord. You can visit us over the Live Free and Ham Discord. Links in all of our show notes and on our website. You can always leave us a voicemail. So maybe you've been struggling with an issue, or you have a question about a certain topic, or maybe you've just been racking your brain and you need some just general help. Well, head on over, leave us a voicemail at 978-233-1142. And as Paul usually says, you can always call us for a good time. So we also have an all-star node here, and you can check us out. We're always online at the All-Star Hub number is 580-871. And we always do a monthly live stream. So if you haven't already headed over to our channel, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. But at the same time, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you get notified when we go live, and you can come be part of all the great action. And as always, we always suggest head on over to Live Free and Ham, check out our shop. You can buy all of our great merch there, check stuff out. And if you want to help support the show, because we all love those folks that definitely can help us continue to further the mission ahead, all of our Patreon members get to have unfettered access to all of our episodes, just like this one. They get to be part of our private live stream here as well. And it's good to see Ted in the show tonight. And they get access to a whole bunch of other stuff like discounts, free merch, sticker packs, and hopefully coming soon, a private member stream, which we're coordinating and working out. So don't waste any more time. Also, this kind of goes dovetail to, if you haven't already heard, we are doing the 2025 Shack Roast again. So last year was such a success. We are picking that back up, and we've amped it up more this year. And we've added a bunch more categories. So make sure you head on over to Live Free and Ham. Check out our front page. We've got the Shack Roast there. Come be a part of it. We're accepting entries until the end of November. After November 30th, then we are releasing those entries to our Patreon fans. And they get to pick those members for the categories. So please get your Shacks in and get those over to us so we can get them posted and get to vote on them. So with that, let's kind of roll in. We've got something actually in the mailbag today.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Everybody, we got some news.
Slow down, Boog. Let me handle this. We've got some news. I've got bad news and bad news.
I have reviewed ship's personnel, Captain.
Congratulations, you've got mail.
All right. Well, we've got a couple of reviews in the mailbag this week. Todd, what do you got?
All right. So first, we've got a review, and we missed this one. I'm not sure how, but it was from August 16th. I don't have a call sign, but it is logged in as KSU Trick, and it says, "These cats resonate with me. Even if you're not into ham radio, you'll be entertained and learn something probably." Or you'll learn something. Probably the first podcast I can listen to previous shows and not freak out. Oh,
I'm glad you didn't freak out.
yeah. This one is from Sean. Sean is a fan of ours. He came to our 24-hour POTA, and he also was the guy that I went to Eagle Island with Keith, AC1RH. His call sign, Sean's call sign is W1SAB, and he says, the Live Free and Ham crew are great. You never know what the hosts, Eric, Paul, and Todd, are going to bring to the latest episode. You might hear about their latest POTA activations or find out where you can catch the Grouch doing a parachute mobile. I highly recommend checking out the podcast and their YouTube channel, including Eric and Paul's personal YouTube channels, for some great reviews and other ham and non-ham antics. POTA on 73 W1 SAB. So, Sean, thanks for that. That's awesome. Yeah, I actually, Sean, he lives in Maine, and he drives a lot. He gets up at I think he starts at 5 a.m. So when I go to work, I hit on the Epson repeater, W1ASS. It's up in what's the town it's in? Epson.
Epson. Yep.
Fort Mountain, and that repeater has good coverage. So Sean and I are able to chit chat on the mornings. Normally, he's like me, I'm about to do something. He's about to load up the truck or get something for the truck, and I'm like, all right, I'll get you on the way back. But yeah, it's been good since the 24-hour POTA. I've been kind of hanging out and went out with him, and I'm planning on. I got to actually, hopefully, I'll talk to him in the morning. I've got to go up to out to Portsmouth again on Wednesday, so I'm hoping I can hook up with him and maybe do a park.
Oh, it'd be cool.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, next time I get out there, I'll let you know. And if you're, in the area and can take a lunch break or something, we could crank out an activation. So,
awesome.
So thanks for those. That's good.
All right. Well, yeah, as always, you can always send us a review. You can obviously hit us up on the voicemail at 978-233-1142, or feel free to send us an email. Or if you are an Apple Podcast listener or on any of your favorite podcast streaming apps, leave us a review there, and we'll make sure we grab it, and we'll read it on our next episode. So with that, we are skipping, like we said, nothing on the Something Extra this week. Todd will come back full force, ready to go for next week.
Yeah.
So
and Ted, I will get 100%.
Yes, we would hope so.
Mike, I can do it. I'm telling you, I can do it. I've done it in the past.
All right.
I'm optimistic.
Hey, well, exactly. You have to tune in next episode.
I just got to tell you, Tim, though, at the club meeting, he came up to me and he says, Todd, I really hope you don't get your extra. I think it's really helping people. In his mind, if I don't get my extra, we keep doing this, I'm going to be making a lot of other people extras. So that's
it's a good point.
That's a good thing, right?
Yes, it's a point, but in essence, at the same time, you can't build the whole entire show off of one little testing session after a while.
It's the favorite part of the show, Eric. I'm telling you, people are going to be responding like crazy, saying,
every 5 years it gets a refresh?
Huh?
Every 5 years it gets a refresh because the question pool changes?
Yeah.
Hopefully you have gotten your extra by then, so we don't have to go through that whole reiteration of 10-second Tom.
You took it a bunch of times, right? So if I fail, I won't feel like I'm the only guy in the world that failed. First time.
It was starting to get very expensive because, you do it once or twice, you pay the $15 fee or whatever, but the third or fourth time you're taking the test, you're like, man, this is like more than what my drone license cost me. It's starting to add up. So, but we get there.
You should probably have to pay. You should be able to pay it once and then take it as many times as you want.
That'd be nice. We will advocate for that.
Seriously, I'm going to send that to the Grouches and his little crew that create that test and
distribute. He doesn't do anything except administer it. You think he has a lot of power?
Yeah, well, I hold him accountable, and he tells me to email, so I'll email them and say, you know what, this extra thing is really hard. It should be a one-time fee and take it unlimited times.
So Mike, I'm going to do this on your benefit here specifically, since you have requested it in the chat, and we are taking requests.
Come on, here it comes.
Come on, play. There we go. There we go.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
And as K Murder always says,
you've really got to stick it in there deep.
Yes. Thank you for that clip, Todd. I appreciate it.
Oh man, I was watching that video and I saw that and I freaking sent it to Eric and I said at the time, I said, you need to make this a clip.
Watch out. We have our little minions working in overtime. So, all right. Well, with that,
I got to get a copy of all those clips. And then when I work Mike, like on the air, just play it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm broadcast anything because it's not technically broadcast material. So you're okay. All right. Well, in our usual show format, we're going to dive into our Ham Radio Week. So, Mike, you are our esteemed guest tonight. So what's been going on with your Ham Radio Week, sir?
Oh boy!
Is that a loaded question?
Recuperating, of course. It's always a matter of recuperating. Not too long ago, I was drove down to the Hamfest down in Atlanta, the Stone Mountain Hamfest, and I was down there. And then the week after that, I was in Nixa, Missouri, at the Nixa Hamfest. So it's a lot of recuperating and getting caught up from being gone all weekend. I told my brother just today, man, I wish I could have a weekend. I really do, but weekends are full, and my work week is full and everything. But so trying to recuperate. Not able to get on the radio much. We just did have and I'll tell you about it shortly. A annual event that we just got done with that runs November 1st through the 8th, and that was a busy week too of playing on the radio. So. Always recuperating. Very cool. Well, hopefully ham radio doesn't suck the life out of you. It just restores you, as they say. It's a lot of work.
Yes, it can be sometimes. Yes, it's a labor of love, as they say. It takes a lot out of you in some cases, and some days it gives a little back.
Oh, 100%.
So cool. All right. Well, good to hear. And we're looking forward to having more conversation there about, a little bit about that week and many other things. So with that, Todd, how is your Ham Radio Week going, buddy?
Well, not as active as last week. I had, it wasn't as active. We had some issues at work. We had not a good thing going on. I'm not going to really get into it, but it had to do with one of the guys that work in a different office. And it was just a tough week at work for what was going on. And then my caseload kind of blew up a little bit. And I was only there for 3 days. So I had a plan to do another park. I was going to do Silver Lake, but it didn't pan out. And the bands were kind of shitty Monday and Tuesday. God. The Northern Lights were beautiful, but the bands, like everyone gets excited, like, oh, the Northern Lights, and I'm just like, fuck. And man's like, what? Don't you want to see him? I'm like, no, it kills my ham radio, and I had plans this week.
My dad texted me. He's like, the Northern Lights are going to be so great for propagation. I'm like, Dad, no, that's the worst thing you can have for ham radio.
Listen, you know how the Northern Lights are like always up, like in the Arctic, like in like you always see them like in Iceland and stuff. Does that mean like they always have shitty propagation?
I don't know. No, I would assume they get hit by it more, but I don't think it's constant all the time.
Oh, I just assumed it was. Like you go up there and you look up in the sky and it's like, woo.
Every day. No, I don't think so. I saw those even in southern Missouri. Down here, man, I'm not more than an hour from the Arkansas border, and I saw them way down here. It was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they were saying it was stretching that far, and it was like, oh my, if it's going that far, I can only imagine like 2 meter 440 would probably be pretty good.
Yeah, but radio blackout everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly right.
They said they could see it in Mexico.
Which wouldn't be surprising.
Northern Mexico, yeah. Like, that's pretty crazy. They said it was the strongest storm in 25 years or something.
I know, but we as ham radio and operators know that's like, they say that all the time. It's like, radio blackout and whatever.
But they rate it like a 1 through, what is it, a 1 through 5?
Yeah.
And it was like it was like a 4+.
Yeah.
So it was.
Oh, you're talking about the storm itself.
Yeah. How they rate it? Yeah.
5 was the highest you could get. So it was total blackout for certain scenarios. So.
But yeah, so it was. So I didn't do that, but I have been playing around with my Mesh-tastic, trying to learn more about it, and I kept resetting my Ham-tastic because it said buzzer something, and it had a pin 25, and I kept adding it to 0 or unread or whatever, and then I stopped. Like, don't laugh at me. And then I'd reset the whole thing, and it'd come back. I'm like, what the? I thought it was broken. I was ready to like return it. And then I see Eric at the club and I said, hey, I can't get my buzzer off. It just goes, and I'm totally in the wrong freaking side of the app.
You weren't even close.
I wasn't even close.
The goal line.
Goes, that's supposed to be like that. I'm like,
You were so far off. He was, for those that are trying to figure out where he was in the GPIO pins on the Meshtastic device, trying to set those for some unapparent
reason.
reason.
But it said buzzer. GPIO buzzer.
Correct.
So I was like, buzzer off. So anyway, the reason I had to do that is because like 5:45 in the morning, some dude broadcasts a net. And it just starts buzzing. Beep, 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 beep. And I couldn't turn it off. My wife's like, what the hell is that? And then what really annoys me is I can't get anyone except like if they're in the same room with me. Like I got Eric at the meeting and I can get my other nodes. And I haven't gotten anyone on a skip, but I receive a shitload of them. And even says like you're close, like no hops, strong signal, like it's probably someone in my neighborhood. Nothing. Went up to Manchester, thing starts going off. My kid's doing his baseball workout. I'm sending things like, come on, just someone. Nothing. So I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know if you got my message, but I was at Costco on Saturday, and all of a sudden my T1000 was going off, and I'm like, I looked down while we're walking around through the craziness of people at Costco. Never go there during the middle of the day on a Saturday, but
stupid.
Wife wanted to go. Costco was calling, so she's laughing at me at the moment. I could have, and so I saw your message saying, "Hey, is anybody out there?" I got your Friday message, and then so I responded back, and you obviously didn't get mine because there was a node floating around in the building that I could ping and hit, but they weren't taking messages in traffic, so I was just like, "Well, this sucks."
You have to look at that because I found that you get a lot of like repeater type nodes that says not monitoring, and there's actually not even a place to send a message to.
Yep.
But like there's one like I don't know. It says it's like 3.5 miles in New Boston from my house, and it shows us. And they're online. I'm just not able to reach them.
Yeah. Like
it just says, and I've got it up to 7. So I think I'm going to buy that when it comes back in stock or whatever. That seed.
The P1.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be that might help if I get it outside and I get a little bit of better antenna and a little elevation to it. But anyway, it's been kind of cool, and like I said, this is a cool little device. It fits in my pocket easily. Just carry it around with me, and the battery lasts like almost 2 days. So
what brand did you get? Which one do you got, Todd?
Well, I got a bunch of them, but I've been using the seed.
I've seen those. I saw those down in Huntsville.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're it's cool because it's waterproof, and you can you can stick it in your pocket and you probably forget about it. But it's got a good long battery in it, and it doesn't take long to charge. And I bought a couple extra chargers, and I put one in my office, one next to my bed, and one in the shack, and one in the car. So I figured I got enough chargers that wherever I'm at, if the thing for some reason I forget to charge it, I could just charge it up. But but I really don't because it really lasts like a day and a half. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually I've gotten about almost 2 days strong pretty much with mine as long as I don't kill it.
Yeah, so it's been and then I've got all these other like ones that when it first came out, I was buying cases for them and buying them, like putting them together and stuff. And I'm like, what am I going to do with all these? I'm trying to think of places to put them, like where I could leave them. I left one at my office and it didn't work because I think when I'm in my office, I'm in the center of the building. Mm-hmm. And I think the building's got all metal around it because it's half of it is a manufacturing place. So, I'm sitting at the desk and I'm trying to reach my own node and it's got like one bar barely.
Yeah. Well, stick it to a window so at least that's a way outdoors if you can get that far.
Yeah.
I grabbed the one from Spec 5. It's just a little small one, and it's perfect. I mean, it's printed very well, and it just seems like it's a pretty good quality thing. But I've never had a chance to really play with it much other than going to Hamfest and stuff like that. Here in the town that I'm at, they have I think they have a Facebook group. And there's 3 or 4 nodes around town, but we're talking like in a 7 by 7 mile radius. So you have to be up pretty high or something like that if you want to get it. But
well, when I was doing the Temple Mountain, like the thing was going freaking ballistic, and I couldn't get the damn buzzer off. Right, so I'm trying to activate the thing, and literally and I was getting like I was getting like Worcester. I was like, holy shit, like get a little elevation. All of a sudden, that thing starts going to town. But I didn't want to. But I'm just trying to learn about it, and I figured I kind of tried to get my kid into it. I said, hey, he goes, what is that? And I told him, and I said, I could give you one, and we could text without using the phone, like not using text messages, and just use it over the radio waves. He goes, but why wouldn't I just text you? I said, well, if the internet goes out? He goes, it never goes out on the phone. I'm like, it could. I said, you should probably learn this, and your friends should learn this, and you guys could all get one, and then that way you could have them.
You just need to go into your T-Mobile plan there and disable his phone and just say, hey, internet's down. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Come on, show me.
Yeah. But, when I was looking, when I was looking for stuff, they actually make now ones that it's pretty cool. It's like a mag mount to the back of your phone. It's like like how you have the magnet power things, like the power box they can attach it. Well, they actually have. 5 got one. Yeah, but they actually have like real thin mesh-tastic that actually mount to the magnet on the back of the phone with an antenna sticking up.
That's pretty cool.
It's kind of cool. You could just like slap it on your phone if you wanted to. And then I saw a cool one for a DJI, even though you can't get them anymore in the United States. Well, unless they're in stock, but they're not selling to the United States anymore. Did you hear about that, Mike? You probably know about that. Yeah. So, but I saw the DJI Mini. A guy he built a mesh-tastic. I think he 3D printed it, and I think he's selling it. That actually mounts to the center of the drone, and he's using it.
Really good idea.
Yeah, I'll find it, Mike. I'll send it to you because it was pretty cool, and he was using it as like a GPS tracker or something. So it was kind of neat. So yeah, you're starting to see it. I mean, more people that do it or get involved with it. I would just wish it would work a little bit better. And
you got to remember, dude, it's all based off of the network that it has access to connect to. So if you don't have like good, like the small T1000's got a decent antenna in it, but in essence, like if your terrain is hilly, you've got buildings and stuff like that, it doesn't matter how good it is, in terms of performance. It's still going to get
I'm in Manchester by the airport, and my thing's going ballistic, and I've got all full signals, all these different things, and I send out the message and I get your node timed out or whatever, too many tries, and I've got it at 7.
Well,
I mean, one said it was like a half a mile away.
Well, then you should be able to hit it. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what happened because I was in Nashua and I was able to send a couple of messages just to the general kind of like, broadcast to everybody, channel, and I got a hello back here and there, but that was about it. So yeah,
I think I work right next to the UPS place. I think there's a guy in the UPS thing that has
got one.
Because he keeps popping up, and I keep sending him messages, and I'm like, because it says he's like a mile or two, always says like one, like sometimes my say it's like a mile away, and it's like right next to me. So I don't think it says, I think it gives you, how you get on the map the circle, like where it shows. I think it's like anywhere in that circle, and like mine is not really where I'm
anywhere close.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably like a mile away in the center of it. So, I mean, the house is in the circle, but it's not where it shows the GPS it's kind of off. So anyway, I mean, I was just like, oh, he's got to be over there because there's nothing really much around here. And I don't know. I'll keep trying.
Buildings can kill it. Yeah, it happens. Buildings
can kill it. The thing that confuses me is all the long, short, fast, long, getting the settings right to begin with. Because it seems like every Hamfest you go, they're like, oh, we're using this. And you go to another one and they're like, we're using this. I'm like, okay, so what's the universal one? Like, what's the one that everyone's using all the time, no matter where you're at? So that's the thing that's kind of confusing, and we'll totally throw it off too.
Well, it's funny because now, like, you got that, and we're turning into a mess-tastic podcast here now. But at this point, I'd say like the long, fast stuff. When you get into super congested areas, that makes it worse because it just keeps repeating messages. So that's why people tell you to turn certain things off and turn certain things on. And and hopefully they'll get around to making it better. But I guess Mesh Core is the better way to go because it actually got some smarter intelligence built into it and stuff. So
It's Mesh Core.
It's it's another version of Meshtastic. Runs off the same chipsets, but it's actually like it solves a lot of the problems Meshtastic has been struggling with large networks and.
Does it do the Meshtastic devices we have work, or do you have to get?
Yeah, they'll all work in
Is
there.
it a different app or different website or something?
Different firmware, and then at that point they're all accessible via mostly the same app, I think. So
does Mesh Core connect to people on Meshtastic?
Yep, there are bridges out there for that.
Well, that's good because the last thing I need on my
is
phone
another
is
one.
Another app. Yeah, I need one of those.
Hey, welcome
to Ham Radio, where we fragment everything.
Do you use an iPhone or are you on Android?
Android.
Oh, so on Apple, you can hide the apps, but not actually delete them. So, like, if you search, let's say, like Expedia. Like, I never use Expedia unless I'm going somewhere. I don't actually have to. I can hide the app, take it off my screen, but if I search Expedia, it'll pop up.
That's kind of nice.
Right. So you can. So I've slowly been trying to not delete, but remove it from my home screen, so I don't have
declutter.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
All right. So Eric, since I didn't do anything and we started talking about Meshtastic, and thanks for your help, by the way.
No problem.
How was your ham radio week?
Oh man, I don't know. I can't recall doing much ham radio except playing with a lot of the All-Star and stuff like that. Since I finally got it fantastically working in the truck, and it seems to give me enough feedback, and basically there's enough people out that I can talk to when the local repeaters are dead. So outside of that, I haven't really done much other ham radio stuff. It's been one of those really, once again, work dictates my life kind of weeks. And so, yeah, I apologize. I have not come to the table prepared for doing any ham radio-like activities whatsoever. I mean, I can't quite call club type stuff for ham radio related to ham radio, although it sort of is. But yeah, it's more administrative stuff. But all good there either way. So yeah, I won't bore you with those details.
You know what I did the other day? We had we did a presentation for a net in the Kansas City area called United in Crisis. They're like a disaster preparedness net. And actually connected to them over Echolink on my phone, which is something I hadn't done for 5 years.
I know. It's crazy. You probably did it when you first started as a ham radio operator, though.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, yeah, that was kind of cool. Play with it or had it on the computer and stuff like that. But then I'm not much into digital modes or anything like that. I like straight, give me a microphone and key and straight RF, and I'm happy. But it was a new experience for me.
That's the one thing I love about All-Star is that it is still RF. It's RF to obviously a node device, and that's the benefit for me is that I've expanded my network, but still kept it RF. From the microphone to my voice to the microphone or mouth to the microphone kind of thing. So, and I'm not spending ridiculous amounts of money to go buy DMR stuff and try to bang my head against the wall to program the damn stuff to get it to work the way I want. So yeah, not my cup of tea. So simpler is the better. All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to dive into tonight's topic because we've been working in the background to try to get this together, and I know Mike's been super busy and running around, as obviously he shared earlier. So we're going to talk a little bit about the NARA, or what we call the National Amateur Radio Alliance. It's not another club per se. It's not like a traditional club. It's actually I'll let Mike explain that because, in essence, I think it definitely deserves some time to be able to kind of explain that. So, Mike, introduce yourself again. Give us your kind of official role title, to this, and then kind of dive in a little bit about NARA, and then we can talk more about other activities and stuff around that. And I've got some compare and contrast questions I want to get into. So, after you.
Perfect. So if you ask me what my official title is, I am the president of the National Amateur Radio Alliance. If you ever get an email from me, it says I'm the director of operations and logistics, because that's basically what I do. A lot of logistical things, a lot of operations, running the organization, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The National Amateur Radio Alliance is a organization that I started and founded. It is a nonprofit foundation incorporated in the state of Tennessee. So we're out here in the Midwest. Right now we have about 400 members, a little over 400 members, and we started back in March. So if you do the math, we've been gaining about 50 members a month, which is fantastic.
Okay.
And one thing that makes us a little bit unique is not only can you join up as an individual, but you can also join up as a organization or a corporation. And like you said, Eric, we're not a club, definitely not a typical club unless we're one that meets once a year. But we're a nonprofit organization that was founded to support amateur radio operators, to support clubs, on a national level. So there's a lot of things that individual clubs can do in their communities and stuff like that. But there needs to be more of a national voice and another organization out there on a national level supporting amateur radio. So we developed NARA, and just a couple, maybe 3 months ago, we got our board to put together to ratify everything that had been done so far. Our youngest board member is 18, so I am the oldest person on the board.
That's even better.
So, yeah, we do have a very young board, but it's great because we have a lot of fresh perspectives. And being a new organization, if there's something that we want to do or an initiative or a need that we see, we don't have a lot of red tape and hoops to jump through to do it. We're just kind of like, screw it, let's do it. The great thing is there's no one telling us we can't, so we do. And it's been great. It's been giving us a lot of opportunity to really hit the ground running. We've come up with a number of great initiatives that we have already lined up. We're working on 2 to 3 year and 3 to 5 year strategic plans. Our bylaws are set up so that we're really member oriented. And I wanted to make sure that if we were going to call ourselves a member organization, which is what we are, membership is $32 a year to join the alliance for individuals. Individuals have voting rights, and they get to vote on the board of directors who run the organization. And I wanted to make sure that they had the most say that we could possibly give them. So, for example, if you're a member of NARA and it's time to vote, you vote on 5 of the 7 board members. So you really have a lot of say in who those 5, you vote on the majority of the board members. We've taken the U.S. and divided it into 3 different territories, Eastern, Central, and Western. And you vote on the territory representative that's, you live in, and then you vote on the 4 national officers, the president, secretary, vice president, and treasurer. So out of the 7 board members, the 4 officers, and the 3 territory representatives, you have a lot of say in who runs your national organization because it is a membership organization. So that's one of the things that we really did to kind of set ourselves up for success and give our members power so that when they join, they actually have a voice in amateur radio at the national level. So we were excited about that. But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions about that, let me know. But I'll jump in and talk about some of our initiatives.
Yeah. So structure-wise, and this may be something we could put a pin in, and once you get into some of the other details, in terms of that member board, is there plans for future? I assume as a competing or a complementary and maybe unique group. When it comes to kind of the amateur radio laws and spectrum space and stuff like that, you guys have plans for future steps to be moving towards that, or is that something you'll get into a little bit? We could just hold off.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a national organization, obviously, advocacy is one thing. Making sure the spectrum is protected, making sure we have the ability to say, "Hey, yeah, we use the spectrum, we want to keep it." And we come out in full force on numbers. So we've actually commented on 2 FCC dockets already. The delete. We submitted an official comment for that. And just recently, the AST satellite, I think it's AST down in Texas, on the 440 spectrum. We've actually submitted an official comment on that. On top of that, we have what the ARRL is doing right now with the homeowners associations and the bills that they're trying to get passed. And on our website, we actually have our own template that we encourage our members to download, customize, and send in to their representatives. So instead of paying lobbyists in Washington thousands and thousands of dollars, we keep our ear to the ground on what's happening in the state or in the Senate and in Congress. And if it's something that affects amateur radio, we let our members know what our official stance are. Hey, this is where we stand on it. But we encourage them to reach out to their state representatives and voice their opinion there. So their state representatives are actually hearing from them. But advocacy is one of the 4 things that we focus on. The other 3 things is outreach, which I'm super excited about, and resources for clubs and individuals, and one other one: outreach, advocacy, resources, and
education. Maybe
no, this is not education. Actually,
no, it's not. Okay.
No. So it's engagement, and that comes back to what we just got done with. So we created our first event to encourage people to get on the air, and it was Club Week. Club Week is a week-long event for clubs to get on the air, talk to other clubs, but it's not a contest. There's no logs to submit. You don't get points. The whole purpose of it is so that clubs can exchange QSL cards with other clubs, because QSL cards are they're a historic part of the hobby. They're fun, they're unique, and it's something that we definitely want to keep that tradition alive and going around. So, and there's cool clubs out there. So to get like the Disney Amateur Radio Club, or to get the Kennedy Space Center, or that Battleship Amateur Radio Club, like those cool cards, you may not hear those people on the air often. And we wanted to create an event to get all these clubs on the air the same week. So it runs November 1st through the 8th. We just got off of it. But that's one of the examples of how we create events that get people engaged in a non-contest environment to foster conversation on HF. We have such a huge playground of spectrum that we can play on. And we don't want to just limit it to, like contest bands. We want to be able to get on all the WARC bands and do 17 and 12 and 10 and all those fun bands as well. So we want to create events that will get people talking on, all over the spectrum.
Now, have you guys tabulated kind of the results, or how do you know what the kind of participation level was with that? Are you still working on those numbers, or? So
it was rough with the first year. We're developing an after action report that clubs can submit. Hey, how many contacts did you make? How many days out of the week did you operate on, type thing. But because they don't submit their logs, we'll never have a 300,000 contacts were made during this week, type thing. We did announce the dates in Huntsville. Huntsville is kind of our home ham fest that we'd like to make announcements at. The guys down there, they say it's the friendliest ham fest, and it really is. It's a great ham fest to be, and it's right below us in Tennessee. So we announced the dates there. We've been on a couple different YouTube podcasts, talking about Club Week and stuff. But I think as we continue year after year and turn it into an annual event, I do expect to see it grow. And it's just a fun time, because normally, unless you're a very active club, you're using your call sign twice a year: Summerfield Day, Winterfield Day.
Pretty much,
that's it. Yeah. So we wanted to give you another opportunity to get on the road or on the air. We did whenever I was doing the disaster net up for Unity and Crisis, the net up in Kansas City, the Raytown Ham Radio Club, they said that they got on the air and they were participating in it. So
nice.
Are they just looking for just making contacts, or are they just trying to hit other clubs?
So we actually recommend on our website, and here, let me let me share the website with you.
Yep, go ahead.
So on our website, we actually recommend a 3 to 7 minute QSO. So it's enough time to say, hey, how many people are in your club? You know, what kind of events do you guys do as a club? It's November 1st through the 8th. And, you know, suggested exchanges on here, you know, your club, city, state, you know, brief description of your day. The thing that makes Club Week kind of unique and potentially to be a lot of fun is clubs can use this as an outreach into their community. Mm-hmm. Just to point out real quick, usnara.org, that is our website, usnara.org. You can find all of our initiatives on there. But if you think about the go-to station at field day, typically, it goes so fast and there's so much information coming at you that if you're a community member that just happens to be in a park or happens to swing by a place and they say, hey, come get on the air real quick, the speed at which everything is happening is just like right at you. Right. And I don't think a lot of times there's really time to sit back and comprehend, okay, like, what am I doing? You know, you're actually making a contact with someone, you know, several states away, but you don't realize it because you're just going down the script. You know, hey, this is your 5-9, you know, QRZ and next. Club Week is a lot more laid back of an event. So it's a chance to get a new HF licensees on the air, or introduce technicians to HF, introduce community members to HF. You don't have to rush through everything. You're not trying to get through the contact so you can make another contact. It's a great event for, you know, new people to get on the air and get over that mic fright, because we actually want you to have a conversation. Hey, you know, like I said, how many people do you guys have in your club? How long has your club been in existence? So a 3 to 7 minute QSO with the club is perfect, you know. And then make sure you take that extra step and exchange the QSL cards with the club, because that brings the second opportunity to get club members involved. Order pizza, have a QSO night where you're sitting out filling out QSL cards and sending them back and stuffing envelopes and putting stamps on them, stuff like that. And it gives you an opportunity to teach new people about the process, and it gives you another something to do during the week to get your club together and getting them working together. So it can really be a team building exercise in a couple different ways: planning the event, doing the event, setting up in a Lowe's parking lot or a Walmart parking lot or a community center, inviting the public to come out and see what you're doing, and then the follow-up after the event, filling out the QSL cards. So Club Week is one of those initiatives to get people on the air. But if I jump back to our main page, you'll see some of our other initiatives here. Club Week, the Alfred Vail 2020 Young Keers Award. This is a award that we developed for youth under the age of 20 who are 20 words per minute or better at CW. Because there are young people out there that are just rocking it on CW. Not because they have to, it's not a requirement, but because they want to, like they enjoy it, they want to do it. And we thought we should do something to recognize those people. So we developed the Alfred Vail 2020 Young Keers Award. It's a award named after Alfred Vail, and I don't know if you guys are familiar. Either of you know who Alfred Vail is?
No.
Is he related to like Graham Bell?
No. So
phone guy.
Vail.
Vail, yeah, Alfred Vail.
Oh, Vail. I thought you said Bell.
No, Bell.
So it's interesting and it's very symbolic. We're a new organization, right? Brand new. We just formed here in 2025. But there's so many things that just because we're new doesn't mean we have to forget history. In fact, we want to educate people on the history of amateur radio. And Alfred Vail was an individual who really worked with Samuel Morse to perfect and enhance Morse code. People know Samuel Morse as, Morse code. That's what it is, Morse code. But Alfred Vail was really the individual that said, that's a good idea, but if you did this and if you did this and if we did it this way, it'd be a whole lot better. And that's how it developed. So Alfred Vail was also the person on the other end of the transmissions when Samuel Morse was doing, his demonstrations. Because we both know if you sit there and call CQ, and no one answers, it's nothing. Amateur radio is a two-way communication street. So when you're doing a demonstration, someone had to be on the other side. Alfred Vail was this individual. And I think it's very symbolic that we used him for our young CW award, because if we don't have youth coming into the hobby, youth participating in the hobby, we're going to be calling CQ and no one else is going to be answering. So we developed this award. We've teamed up with the Long Island CW Club, and they actually do the proficiency test for this award. So it's alive right now. Anyone who comes in here can apply for the award if they're under the age of 20, they're an amateur radio operator, and they can send and copy at 20 words per minute or better. Once they fill out the application, we send it over to the Long Island CW Club. They contact the individual and do a proficiency test. If they pass the proficiency test, they certify that the individual is eligible to achieve the award, and we send them out a nice framed certificate with Alfred Vail 2020 Young Cures Award recipient on it. So that's our Alfred Vail Award, which is really cool. We're doing a lot for clubs. One of the things that we're looking at doing is forming regional club councils or club co-ops, if you will. And these are going to be online times where clubs from a certain region can get together, brainstorm, collaborate, work on things in their region or their area. For example, if you guys wanted to go to the New Hampshire State Fair and set up an amateur radio table, which you should. There should be an amateur radio demonstration table at every state fair in the U.S. There
was, but the problem was it was literally the money ended up killing the club trying to do it. So yeah.
And was it just one club doing it?
It was backed by when Fred Kremer was the vice director. He pushed hard, or president, not vice director, he's president. He was pushing hard with the help of this club, and they got other clubs involved to be able to kind of man it, because it was literally a whole entire week for the state fair. It was the Big E, and it was a small, place, but they stuck us in one of the 5 buildings in the worst building possible because it was like they gave us for free kind of thing, and it was like, they usually charge anywhere between $15,000 to $2,000 for a booth, so it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a great outreach opportunity. You have people from all over the state coming, but not a whole lot of clubs in the U.S. have the manpower to be able to man a booth for a week-long event like that.
Right.
So clubs need to work together, and we want to create opportunities for clubs to work together and collaborate. So we're going to provide the space for them to get online and have Zoom meetings, Google Meet meetings, whatever they need, so that they can start this, collaboration process. And, hey, I noticed your club, has a bunch of new members. What are you guys doing over there that's successful?
Right.
Or, hey, there's a big marathon coming up that, we could use 3 or 4 extra people to help support. You guys have any club members that, would be willing to drive over for that weekend. So
basically you're saying, let's stop all pretending that we have the corner of the market when we're talking about, ham radio.
Absolutely. Those days are gone. There's a lot of things that I hear people say, and we've heard it for years, right? Like youth are not getting involved in ham radio, or ham radio's dying out. And those are just both flat out lies. They really are. I don't believe either one of them. Youth are getting involved in ham radio on a weekly basis. And I think ham radio is thriving. I talk to clubs at Hamfest month after month, and new clubs that have just formed within the last year or 2 years. So I really do see amateur radio as an already thriving community, which should be no surprise that another national organization steps up on stage, because you have clubs forming all the time. You have dozens and dozens of tests happening every week and new people getting licensed, you get
Very
on
quickly.
something like, you get something on Reddit and you see, especially with the government shutdown right now, there's so many messages on Facebook and Reddit and
When am
stuff
I
like
getting my
that.
ticket? Yep.
Hey, I'm upgrading. You know, why do I have, when is it going to take? You know, what do I do now until the government reopens? So they're out there and they're getting licensed. And it's an exciting time to be a part of the hobby. It really is. So we want those, the days of clubs saying, oh, this is how we do it. This is the way we've always done it. Those days are in the past. We have clubs that are working together. I had mentioned, Eric and Todd, that you can be a part of the alliance if you're a organization or you're a corporation. At the top of our page, we have some of the organizations and clubs that are a part of the Amateur Radio Alliance. And one of those is MOCAN. MOCAN is the Missouri-Kansas Regional Amateur Radio Organizations. They have about 30, 40 members that are part of their organization. And they're doing in the Kansas City area what we want to do on the national level, or we want to see duplicated. So there's a Tennessee Association of Amateur Radio Operators. There's a Arizona Association of Amateur Radio Operators. So there's these organizations that are forming, trying to get these clubs to work and collaborate and do things, on a more regional level. And, one of the reasons that MOCAN joined the alliance is like, hey, you guys are doing a lot of stuff that we're doing and we're trying to do. We definitely support that. So they joined us. QRZ, one of the biggest names in amateur radio as far as web pages go. They're a member of the alliance. Ham Threads, they're a company that does shirts. They did this shirt for me. They're a member of the alliance. So it's really cool to see things that are happening over here in our circle. There's a lot of good things going on.
Now, around the kind of the club kind of aspect of it, are you guys, I mean, obviously I know that you're working on towards building kind of like a club, map kind of finder thing tool and looking forward to seeing how that kind of plays out. Do you guys have a plan for like how you showcase clubs or how you want to bring them into the NAR fold and equip them? Because I find my take from ARL's standpoint being I still don't understand what the affiliation means or what it gets a club these days when you get into ARL speak. But one of the things that I get frustrated with a lot is that ARL like says, "Oh, if you're an affiliated club, you're in this family." But what that family consists of, or what it exists, or what you get out of it, I'm not quite sure. I still haven't gotten a straight answer. Are you guys kind of building a plan around that of like how you can bring those clubs in to then say, hey, be the hub of like, hey, this club that's literally down the street from you, you should connect up with them and build those kind of connections? Are you trying to facilitate something like that going forward, or?
That's a lot of work.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's one ARL has failed at, I think, in my own opinion. But
right. And we see things, I mean, part of the reason we developed into what we've developed is we see needs in the amateur radio community that are unmet. And there's a lot of organizations out there that are doing a lot of good. You have the ARL, they got the Teachers Institute. That's fantastic that they're trying to get amateur radio into schools. You have ARDC, who's given grants left and right for, amateur radio and STEM purposes. That's fantastic. You have Long Island CW Club out there teaching Morse code. That's fantastic. But there's still these little gaps here and there that are unmet. So we want to step up, and we see a lot of that in clubs. Doing the club councils or clubs finding people to do presentations. I know as a podcast, you guys are probably like, okay, who are we going to get on? Where are we going to find someone to talk next week about whatever we want?
Nah, we wing it.
Yeah.
Just wing it. I do the same thing a lot. One of the things that we're working on is a national presenters panel. And this is a panel of the main page isn't there. So this is a database of people who are willing to present for clubs. If you want to learn about mesh, or if you want to learn about SDR radio, if you want to learn about satellite communications, we're soliciting people and getting people to sign up to be a part of this panel, where clubs can get on here and browse these different topics. So if you're a club president or if you're a club secretary and your job is to line up presentations, you can get on this panel and say, anything you want, weather stations. And you can find someone to talk about different weather stations and incorporating them, or APRS, mesh, whisper, all these different things that you may be interested in doing. We want to find people who are willing to do presentations on them. So you would go to the panel, you select whatever speaker you want, you hit request speaker, fill out a little form, maybe 2 or 3 dates that, your next 3 club meetings, and the speaker gets emailed directly. So we're not setting up meetings, we're not doing any of the work, we're just introducing the right hand to the left hand, saying, hey, you want to talk about mesh networking, you're a club that wants to hear about mesh networking, you guys should talk.
That's an awesome idea.
Now, question around that. I'm not logged into the NARA website. I'm not seeing actually that form. Do I have to be a member in order to be able to get in to access that form?
You don't. The link is not there on the main page. If you just click Learn More down here, the link is not there.
Okay.
amateurradioalliance.com/NPP-registration is the long form to get there. And I need to link that page and work on it. The website, as you can imagine, has been a complete work in progress because we're all volunteers in what we do. And there's been a lot of developing. And one of the things you talked about was the Find a Club. And I believe that even the most rural part of Montana, if there's someone who's interested in amateur radio, they should be able to find the club that's closest to them so that they can get involved in their local community. And not just a club that's affiliated with us or a club that's a member of the Alliance. I want them to find out the closest club. So we developed this map that's in beta right now. I guess I can say that. But if you click on the state, the database is 12,000 clubs. It's a lot of database. So we broke that down into states. Mm-hmm. And now you can zoom in interactively, find your location, and find out who the closest club is to your location. And we encourage people, check out 2 or 3 of them. There may be different clubs that you're interested in. The next thing that we're taking this to the next level is, even if you're not a member of the Alliance, and we want people to become members. If you support what we're doing and what we're trying to do, I encourage you to become a member, because every member who signs up just strengthens our foundation. But we want to enable club officers to be able to update this listing. Now you can add your social media page, you can add your repeater information, you can add your meeting times, 7 o'clock first Thursday night at the American Red Cross building. Because not every club has a website, not every club has a public information officer, not every club has a graphic designer. So some clubs don't have the resources to do these things.
I'm going to throw a little wrench in that system. I feel like in today's, being the 21st century or a little bit beyond that, there are tools out there that are pretty much like no-brainer kind of, I can build a website using, my mouse and, content. And, the dawn of AI, my gosh, you could literally pump an entire website out in 15 minutes if you know how to put the right words into a sentence to, build a structure. So I find, and one of the things I'm hoping to see in the next couple of years is maybe, and throw to you guys as a challenge, that those folks that you bring on for these clubs to build that presence? Because the one website you gave me, which was the MoCan, that thing is a website that was developed in 1980. My gosh, it's not even responsive, and it's horrible green, like, 8-bit colors. Like, there's just no reason why I should, like, if they're a prominent, like, club that's doing some amazing things, their website should be a great vehicle to be able to explaining that. And I don't feel like that, they shortchange themselves, and that's kind of my struggle. And so, like, but I'm glad you guys are with the technologies and keeping, trying to keep lockstep with it. And so hopefully you'll encourage your other, clubs that become part of the alliance to do the same.
So speaking of things that were created in like 15 minutes, we ended up, because outreach, and I said I'm excited about this part, is the outreach is one of the things that we do. And this is whatishamradio.com. It's the most basic site. There's no technical jargon on here at all, but it's a site that talks about, what is ham radio, who gets their ham radio license, and what does it take? Why do you need a license to do it? And what are the 3 license categories and stuff like that? But there's nothing technical. There's nothing technical on here. Yep. And then what can I do with a license? Talk around the world, make a difference in your community, learn life skills that transfer, electrical stuff.
Everything that's practical and easy to, make a connection with. Yep.
Yeah. So, we got words, and then, how simple is it? How simple is it, Todd? How simple.
The registration process can be complex because the FCC sucks, but, that's a whole other story on its own. But yes, that's awesome to see that, here's a 5-step program, how you can get your license.
Yeah, we broke it down into 7, but almost, only because we had to join the alliance on there as the 7th step, right? And then at the bottom, we have some links to, like, ham study, ham radio prep, the Alliance, and the FCC. So this is just a simple website where if you're out in a park and someone says, what are you guys doing? And they're like, ham radio, what is that? This is a simple website you can direct them to that they can pull up on their phone. It is responsive. And they can.
I would throw one thing to this: make this a QR code that you can throw to everybody, and then they can just basically give them the QR code and allow them to put it on their materials. And I guarantee you'll get a buttload of traffic because you've saved them the aggravation of having to create something on their own.
and we do have this as a QR code, and cool. Some of the things that we're developing for clubs to hand out to their communities. We have a Discover Amateur Radio flyer, and we have a What is Amateur Radio flyer.
Awesome.
That clubs can, pick up and hand out during field day and things like that. But this is, again, there's not much here, but it was a website that was created very easily, very quickly,
it's
to your argument.
Way more than a lot of other clubs literally have in play today to describe ham radio to somebody coming to their website from ARRL or anywhere else. Because I don't know, if you've ever been to ARRL's website where they try to introduce you to ham radio, it's like drinking from the fire hose. They just need to fix that process altogether because that steers many people who are non-technical away from ever thinking about like, oh, I could do this hobby.
Yeah, talking to people like you and other people at Hamfest and a lot of young people and stuff, we've done a lot of research. Like every time I talk to someone, it's research. Like this is research right now because I'm getting a different opinion and a different point of view, which I can use. Mm-hmm. So we look at things like the Radio Society of Great Britain, the Canadian RAC, Radio Amateurs of Canada. Essex Ham Radio is a really good website that has, beginner ham radio stuff, how to get your ham radio license. So we look at sites like that and we use those as examples and we're like, okay, how can we take the best of what's out there and, combine it into something that we can put together? And that's the same thing we want to do for ham radio in general. If you say, I want to learn about mesh, we're not going to go write a book on mesh. It's been done. We're not going to create a video on mesh. It's been done. But we're going to go out and find the best resources on mesh that are out there. And we're going to say, watch these videos, look at these websites. You will have a pretty good basic understanding of mesh, if that's what you want to learn. So we want to become a hub of information. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. That's stupid. There's no point in doing that. But we want to bring all the great content out there into one area that's easily accessible for amateur radio operators and non-amateur radio operators alike, so that they can learn. So education isn't one of our key focus areas, but I guess by default, it's kind of like emergency communications. It's not one of our key focus areas, but by default, we have an opinion on it. And we have to advocate for it, and we have to,
and like you said, you shouldn't have to spend the time to recreate the wheel to make it tailored to your benefit. Like partnering with the content creators that are out there, the folks that are good in their expertise areas and subject matter experts are way better for you guys to leverage than, to try to say, hey, we're just going to create a production, print company and create our own book materials and waste all of these resources and things where you could just leverage, to your benefit. So I applaud you guys for taking that initiative, especially in recognizing it, because it would be foolish of you not to try to say, hey, we're just going to do our own thing here. And when, you can definitely continue to leverage other people and leverage other, resources to be able to help, move the same needle forward.
Yeah. And there are, you're exactly right. And we've done all these things in just given us 5 months. We've put together, some of these resources. We're developing these things. We're talking about 2 to 3 year and 3 to 5 year strategies on how do we build upon this and how do we keep the momentum going. Who do we partner with and how do we get the word out there? So it's going to continue to be a lot of work, but I think we've, like I said, hit the ground running, and we've got a great thing. We're very future focused on, youth and stuff like that. Our webpage has a lot of frequently asked questions on it. So if people are listening and watching and we don't hit on a topic, if they have another question, our number, 1-800 number right here at the top of the page, our email address right here at the top of the page. Feel free to email us. Feel free to give us a call. We'll answer any questions that you might have. But I've already had people from, Kentucky reach out and say, hey, I went to my local club and they just weren't very welcoming at all. And I want to start my own club. How do I do that? And we're excited to be able to give them some, point them to the right direction to be able to help them do that. I've had the organization in Australia, not WAC. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what it was, but back in 2018, a second national organization in Australia formed because they saw the same thing, gaps that in their community that needed filled. So they developed an organization, and they've been going strong since 2018. And they reached out to us and said, hey, we like what you're doing. Kudos to you for doing it. We did the same thing. Here are some obstacles you might find or things that you may have to overcome, and keep up the good work. So we're excited that there are other national organizations and associations in other countries who are recognizing us as well.
That's awesome.
That is very cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've got a very big, a bite to chew through for being able to get yourself established and be able to get the word out and because it took us a long time. I think we had our ARL conversation episode a long while back, but after that we're like, it still does linger, but at the same time, it's one of those things that's like, nothing ever came out of it outside of a Discord message I think we had between you and I, and it was like, hey, we're starting something like this, let's get you on kind of thing. And I was like, oh, cool. So it was good to see that, that sparked, or at least those were already in, the move of getting to, fruition. So, yeah. We applaud you for taking on this 5-month effort because it is a tough one for sure.
Yeah, I'm an optimist 100%, but I'm also a realist, but I'm also a go-getter. 400 people is a long way from 4,000. It's even further from 40,000, and it's definitely not 100,000. But we have to start somewhere. And if we can do good in the community and other people can say that and say, hey, I want to be a part of that, or I support what they're doing, I think year over year, we will continue to see the growth in what we're trying to do. Right after Hamvention up in Ohio, Xenia, the board, Michael from the Dayton Amateur Radio Association, he reached out and said, hey, I didn't know about you guys before, but we definitely want to support you guys. We'll find room for you guys to have a table up here at the Hamvention. So we have every expectation of having a table there. We just paid for our booth space down in Hamcation in Florida. So we're going to have 2 booth spaces down there to display. So we've already started hitting, 2 of the biggest ham fest. We didn't get out to Pacific Con this year, but we did get down to Stone Mountain. Like I said, we've done a lot of smaller ham fest. But the fact that we're getting the Hamvention, Hamcation, and the Huntsville Ham Fest is amazing. It takes a lot of manpower and logistics to pull that off, but that's what I do, logistics. So
Michael,
being able to plan that is great.
Could you, to get even out there even more, some of the smaller ham festivities, I guess you call it, like our Near Fest, right? Like it's just a local kind of, I always say it's just like a big garage, it's like a garage sale for ham radio. But one of the things that's cool about it is there's a lot of people who show up, we get together, we kind of socialize, you get to interact with different people, you get to see a lot of cool stuff. Some guys have old stuff, some guys bring their portable shacks. So, I mean, it's big in New England, I think people in New England go to it, but you guys, wouldn't probably find it as what are we going to get out of it? But what about someone that was going there, like us, if we were going there and let's say we were going to do a table and do a live stream and Live Free and Ham was going to be there to kind of join it with you, with your stuff and just be like an advocate. So if you were a member, if the club was a member and they were going to something, they could help spread the word.
So we have a couple things. Like I said, we have the flyers and documentation that we're able to hand out.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Set up just the information and so you could get people that stuff to then promote, NARA and be able to give them the information, at a festival, or even if we had even at a club meeting. I mean, I don't know how many people in every club may not know about it. If someone hears about it and they bring it to their club, maybe at their club meeting, they could hand out the stuff and say, hey, check out this website, check out what these guys are doing.
Yeah, the exciting thing is whenever I go to a ham fest and someone says, oh yeah, I heard about you, or I knew you guys were coming and I wanted to talk to you guys to figure out what you guys are all about. That's exciting because that means the word is slowly getting out there, and we're trying through social media. We got Facebook, we have Discord, and then we have our website, and we've been on a couple different podcasts and things like that, which helps us out. Mm-hmm. But we do have the flyers that a club could request or a person could request and say, can you send me a packet of stuff where I could throw on, the table along with some stickers? And we would certainly do that. One thing, our vice president, I was telling you about him, he's 18, just turned 18. He is the Parks on the Air mapping coordinator for the state of Oklahoma. He's an avid CW operator. He just got back from a youth expedition. So he's very involved in the amateur radio community, which is great to have him on the board. That's wonderful. But he is our club and organization liaison. So he's been reaching out to Hamfest about every other month. We go out and find all the Hamfests that are occurring that we can find that are coming up in the next couple of months. We reach out to them and say, hey, we can't be there, but we'd like to support you in any way we can. We have a couple of complimentary memberships and some information about the organization that we can send you. Do you want the memberships for your raffle or prizes? And we hear back from a handful of them, not all of them, probably not even the majority of them. But the ones that say, yeah, we'd love to have it, we send them a packet of 2 complimentary memberships that they can use for raffles, along with some flyers and stickers that they can put on their information table or whatever. So we do want to support those small hamfests, even though we can't personally be at every single one of them. Whatever we can to support them and watch them grow is great. Our philosophy, or kind of my philosophy on Hamfest, is the same thing on club councils. We see a lot of Hamfest, around Missouri and around the Midwest, where there might be one in April, and then there's another one, an hour up the road in, July, another one, another hour away in, September. And we really think that these smaller Hamfests need to start working together and do more regional events. We've started promoting that a lot here in Sedalia, Missouri. It's 3 hours from Kansas City, St. Louis, Joplin, Springfield area. And if, your club can reach out to other clubs and you guys can do a regional event, pair it up with like a Parks on the Air regional meetup, because, those people are crazy. They'll drive, 5 or 6 hours for a regional meetup. They might not do that for a Hamfest from 9 to 10 or 9 to 11, whatever time your Hamfest is. But if you can do a more regional one, attract more people, get more, vendors there, pair it up with a dinner, pair it up with a, Parks on the Air thing, then, you could have a more successful regional Hamfest. And I think that's what I would like to see instead of a lot of smaller ones.
Yeah. So Mike put in the, in our Patreon chat, he was talking about there's no, on the website, it would be nice to see the officers, board members, that kind of stuff. And I agree with that, because it's funny Mike said that, because that was going to be my question. I was thinking, I'm like, it would be good, because you're talking about your vice president and all the stuff that he does. It would be cool, like if a young kid got into the ham radio, fell upon your site, and then saw like, hey, it's not all these old guys doing it. Here's this young guy who's number 2, right? Like, you know what I mean? And that might be a kind of cool thing, just to kind of see the range of people and what they do and what their background is.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second if we can, because I agree with you, and maybe I need to get on to my web designer, because there's a lot of moving parts in the back end right now. Everything from one of our initiatives is the State of Amateur Radio Survey. Right now we're up to like 130 questions on this survey. Mm-hmm. But one of the things we want to do is not necessarily annual, but every 2 or 3 years, we want to survey the community and find out where we're excelling, where we're failing, and, try and figure out why. So if you're going to help the amateur radio community, you need to know, where they need help. So this is one of the things that, we're developing in the background. But again, it's going to be, 3 to 4, 6 to 8 months out before we're actually ready to, publish and conduct the survey. Along with some of the strategic planning that we have. But we do have on the back page our representatives. But before I get into them, I want to go back and talk about the emergency and planning, emergency preparedness, emergency communications. So what we did is we took the U.S. and we broke it down into 10 regions. Like the ARRL, you guys are familiar with ARRL sections. Well, we have 10 regions. Our regions align with the FEMA regions. So our region 4 down in Georgia and Florida is FEMA's region 4. So if there was a issue up in region 1 where you guys are at, that would be FEMA's region 1. It aligns. So now we have that same common terms, when we're talking about disaster communications. On top of this, if you take 1, 2, I think it's 3 and 4, and maybe 5, or maybe just 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the Eastern Territory section that we have. 5, 7, and 8, I think, are Central, and then you have the Western Territory, which is 8, 9, and 10. So we have a territory representative in each one of those 3 territories. The territory representatives talk to each of the the regions, region 3, region 4, region 2. They help carry up the members' concerns up the ladder to the board of directors. But it keeps us within that same span of control that NIMS and ICS recommends, the 1 to 5, 1 to 8 people. So you don't have 50 people in 50 different states reporting to one individual. We wanted to keep that span of control. So we have all the state representatives that would be in Region 4, or all the state representatives that would be in Region 7, reporting to their regional representatives. And then we have those regional representatives talking to the territory representative. So this is how we divided up the U.S., because we still have to make impact on a local level. Even though we have all these national initiatives, we still want to know what, this person down here in Texas, what their concerns are, what they're dealing with on their state laws. So we have to figure out how we're going to recruit representatives in all 50 of these states, which is a major, major task. Once we get those, we have on our webpage, and again, this is a back page that's not linked, but this is what Mike was asking about. So we have our national officers. We are seeking a national secretary. So if you guys or anybody wants to volunteer and join the alliance and become a national secretary, holler at me. But we have national officers, territory representatives.
Is there free coffee? Because, if there's free coffee, I might consider it.
We could work something out. But this is the same map as the FEMA map. We've just broken it up into our colors that kind of complement the other website. But you'll be able to come in here and click and see who your representatives for not only Region 4 are, but who your secretary or your representative for South Carolina, your representative for Florida, and those will all be laid out on this map too. So it is one of those things where it's in the works as a back page, but it is important for people to see who's a part of the organization, who's the national board is, and we want to make that contact information available to them so that they can reach out, not just to that CQ@USNARA email, but so they can reach out to their Region 4 representative.
The one comment I'd make with that is that I think a lot of websites fail on this part, is that they provide contact information, but they don't provide what I call the an immediate type way, where I'm going to find the information I need to contact said person. At that point, they'll provide a simple email link that'll open up an email. Well, simple something better that would address a form or an immediate chat or something that allows that immediate engagement would go a lot farther than, say, something that falls on an email or falls, because that's what I get out of ARL. And the one thing that frustrates me most with ARL is that I don't know who manages their mail systems, but 9 times out of 10, I have simple things like updating a club website in terms of club profile. I've emailed them 5 times and I got no response back. And everybody in the air, everyone who's talked to ARL, called them. I'm like, why should I call them? Why don't they answer their emails? So having a direct chat or some technology.
Who talks on the phone anymore? Seriously.
Well, it's true. That is true. I mean, I get it. I mean, ARL has always toted their advocacy of you call us. And it's sort of like how my parents play the game. If you get into trouble, you need help, give us a call. We'll be here otherwise, but don't bother us, kind of thing. And it's having that better engagement, is just a comment that I'd throw in there. So as you're kind of building that out, think, in terms of how quickly they can get to somebody, because everyone's got a smartphone, everyone's got some mobile, method of being able to be engaged with that stuff. So, thinking in those terms where they can answer quick questions might be better served to, winning over your audience and membership.
And even through these, the DIN, the VIOP numbers and stuff like that, and the smartphone apps, we can create a 1-800 number that rings to 6 different phones at the exact same time. So, and text messaging the same way, so something like that is great. The thing about us is, I got to point it out down here. NARA is not your grandpa's radio association. We have it right down here on the bottom of the page. We are a modern amateur radio association. And I don't even know. So we are a national organization that represents amateur radio operators in the U.S. Not very many places on our website will you see the phrase a National Amateur Radio Association, because that is trademarked by the ARRL. And they've already sent us a cease and desist letter saying that we would really like it if you would not call yourself a National Amateur Radio Organization, because we feel it might infringe upon the the National Association for Amateur Radio. That's the phrase that they have. The National Association for Amateur Radio.
They do not own the quarter of the market of amateur radio.
They seriously sent you a
cease and desist.
Cease and desist.
They did.
Wow.
So, and that's what we were saying. We're a National Association for Amateur Radio, and that's what we are. We're a National Association for Amateur Radio. But they've trademarked the phrase the National Association for Amateur Radio. And they're like, they said that it could cause confusion in the marketplace.
Oh, sure.
And I wrote them back a really nice letter that took me like 5 hours to compose that says, although I disagree that the community of amateur radio operators is considered a marketplace, whatever, I won't call myself that. Even though we're literally that, it doesn't matter what you call us. It's what we do that matters.
If you had like them and they had tons of money and stuff, you could actually sue them for their monopoly rights. Like they're really the only organization that there is, right? And pretty you much. Guys, I mean, you're just, but they're different. You're different than the ARRL. Like just from what you've been talking about, it's a whole different.
In so many ways. Yeah. People ask the question, and I'm sure it's one of your questions too, Eric, like, are you competing with the ARRL? Are you like out to overthrow the ARRL? And that's just nonsense. I mean, they have 100,000 members. Who's going to overthrow the ARRL? And we're not out to compete.
Well, if you get 100,001.
Right?
Well, right. Look at it from this way. Like, I think you guys have the right approach. It's like it's not a and or. It's a we kind of approach. And so, you guys, we as the collective are moving amateur radio as an organization, as a hobby forward. It's like nobody should have a cornered market monopoly of anything in that space, because it goes back to like the whole band, propagation. Like nobody owns the bands either. I mean, obviously the FCC regulates it, but they don't own the band. So it's like, why do we play that in this same space? Or the
frequency.
Yeah, band's frequency, all the same.
Yeah, it's just the same place. Just because you're an amateur radio operator doesn't mean the ARL owns you and they're the only organization you can join. I mean, that's so kind of ridiculous.
Like, one of the things that I see, and I'm fairly new. I mean, I think what am I, 4 years in?
5 years. 5 years now.
5 years now. I look at, you have the younger generation, and when I say the younger generation, like our generation, like our age group, right? And then we have like some younger kids too. But I really see we're in our club, we have like really older members that are kind of stuck in their ways, and then we've got us who are kind of new to the club, newer to ham radio, but are all about promoting, activating, doing stuff. And then you've got like the young kids that are just trying to learn and figure out what the hell we do. And I think that just having conversations with some of the guys that I talk to, like there's just a mindset. Like, we're not going to change anything. This is the way it is, the way it's going to be. And my argument is, well, with all due respect, you people aren't going to be around much longer. Like, if I'm talking to an 80-year-old guy, like, you got like maybe 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
We need to bring in younger kids. We need to bring in, so the hobby continues. Because if you don't change with the times and you don't promote the hobby, you end up losing the hobby. Like, it'll eventually die. It's like you have to produce children, right? Or we're gonna die. We're not gonna be. We're gonna go extinct. So I like your idea of all this kind of things. I love your idea of getting an 18-year-old who's like, seems remarkable. Like, he seems like an amazing kid that he's accomplished so much in ham radio at such a young age. But that's what I think we need. And I think, like, I'm not a big fan of the ARL. I mean, I joined them, and if you look at our old things, you can see that I'm not a big fan. But really, what got me with them is when they were going through their, they're going to rechange their dues, right, and get rid of the magazines and all that. They didn't care. They calculated, well, we'll probably lose this many people. And they didn't seem to care because they figured they would make more money if they raised the dues, but they could lose this many. And my thing was, why would you ever make a decision on losing members? Like, why would you do something that could possibly make you lose members? And I sometimes see that, like, with our club. Like, our club over the last couple of years has kind of exploded, I think. Wouldn't you agree, Eric? It's kind of gotten pretty big. I mean, it's getting bigger. And there were a bunch of guys in there that were really concerned because they didn't want us to become like a huge, club where you got, like, people didn't know. It was like they wanted to keep it like a small local club, and where you do it. And I think we are. We have a lot of members that I've never met before. They don't really participate, but they're members, great. And then we have a bunch of people that show up, and we have I'd say we fill up a high school library every club meeting, and we've got people on Zoom. So I think we're doing pretty good. And we've even got people that can't reach our repeater, but hear us on another repeater that they can hear, and they've come, and we've got clubs that want to join in with us, like what you were saying, and kind of, mixing and doing things together and that kind of stuff. So I think this is a great idea, and I think it's really positive because, like you said, there's a new generation coming up, newer than us, and things are going to change and things are going to be different. And if you don't change with the times, people aren't going to. I mean, I do POTA all the time, and how many times have we done POTA and you get the guy on there like, no POTA, just trying to jam up your thing. Or, you hear people like, if you go on 80 meters, you can hear people at night freaking bitching about POTA, and there shouldn't be POTA and it shouldn't be allowed and all that. But I honestly think POTA is probably the best thing for ham radio today because it's what gets people involved and they want to do it. Or at least a lot of people want to do it. So I think that your way of thinking about this I think it's really cool. I don't like the idea that the ARL is trying to, because you used a word, and it's kind of like they're being a big bully, which makes me, they're still not getting my money. But
I think, I can actually say that POTA is one of the reasons that NARA exists. It really does, because back during COVID, I started with Club Gear Online, which was the name of my ham radio company, and I rebranded that to Ham Stuff Online. And, over the last 3-4 years, I've met a lot of cool people in the amateur radio community. I've made a lot of contacts and stuff like that. And the amateur radio supported the business and supported me and encouraged me. And, they always complimented the, products and stuff that I had. And it's been very hard because as I spearhead the National Amateur Radio Alliance, plus I work full-time, plus I run Ham Stuff Online. It's like working 3 full-time jobs, and I can do 2, but working 3 full-time jobs is really hard. So I fear that, something will suffer. But luckily, the POTA community and the people who usually man that POTA booth at the Ham Fests, they'll step up and they're like, hey, you go do your thing. We know what you're trying to do. We'll man the table and take care of that. And you go inside and you have your booth in there, and we're okay with that. We'll carry the weight of you not being here. But if I hadn't have had that community support, and if I hadn't have met so many people, for me, this is a way to give back, because as a nonprofit board member, you're not allowed to benefit personally from the nonprofit. So I don't draw a paycheck. I don't benefit personally from it. And the way that we have structured our bylaws, we have term limits. So even though it's a 4-year term, you can only serve 2 terms lifetime. That's it.
Oh, wow.
That's
actually good.
Yeah. So I have a very limited time, so it's like I'm cutting me off at the knees, right? I have a very limited time to make the most firm foundation for NARA that I can before my term, ends up.
Well, and that offers great benefit to obviously the membership because they know you have a finite amount of time. So you're either going to produce something amazing and be part of something growth wise that's going to, basically affect them today and then going forward, without the fact that, you're going to become this lifer, board member that's just going to sit there and be fat, dumb, and happy. And again, that
I'm certainly not doing it for me. Like we were talking about earlier, it's the love of the hobby, right? It's a labor of love. Amateur radio operators have been great for me. I love the hobby. I love the fact that there's just so many things that we can do, and something that Todd enjoys and I don't enjoy doing it. I don't have to do it, but we still have the same common, interest at the base.
Yep.
So amateur radio is a great hobby. I absolutely love it, and I want to promote it. But I'm not doing anything, I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm putting a lot into it, Well, up until we paid for our booth down in Florida for Hamcation, which was about 2 weeks ago. I had not spent a dime of our members' money. So I've basically been bankrolling in all the flyers that we've produced, the website, the Google Workspace, the 1-800 number, the tablecloths, the tables, all that I've been pretty much paying for because, again, we need to make sure we have a solid foundation financially for the organization too. So I'm not afraid to invest into something that I believe in. And I think it will come along, even after I'm gone. I'm hoping that, someone picks up the slack and says, hey, I'll sign up to carry the torch.
In your bylaws, can you then become the vice president or the treasurer or something like that? Or are you done once you do once you're at the top?
two terms lifetime.
For any position or for each one?
Any position.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So your vice president can't be, if he is vice president for 2 years, he can never be president?
That's correct. That is correct. And it's harsh to an extent, but I don't want to get career board members. I don't want someone who's been like, I've been on the board for 20 years.
Well, a dynamic organization. Although you can be an advisor, that's fine.
Yeah. And the 10 regional representatives that we have that match those FEMA regions, even are not official board members, those 10 regional representatives act as an advisory council to the board of directors.
Nice.
We also have a youth advisory council that acts as, we let them give their little emoji thumbs up or thumbs down if we come up with an idea for youth and we think it's a great idea. And they're like, no, that's stupid, dude. Get rid of that.
That's a good idea.
Because they're youth. They know how you think. I don't. I'm 45. I'm so out of touch. So,
well, Mike, one of the things that I've just noticed, like when we started this podcast, it was just like an idea, like Eric and I just kind of talked about it, and I never honestly expected it to be like what it is now. And we're not even that big, but we've been on the radio and people recognize our voices or they know the thing. I see people wearing the hats and some of our merchandise. So it's kind of like we just wanted to talk about ham radio and kind of spread, because there's nothing in the Northeast, right, that kind of did any of that. So we're like, everyone else is everywhere else. Let's just see where it goes. But what I've noticed, like with the ham radio or the YouTubers, is like, they're all supportive of each other. It's almost like it's not, maybe the guys that are getting paid are doing it, but I don't even see it that way even on air. It seems to me like it's everyone supporting each other. And if you needed help or you needed to get, it's like, hey, come on. Or like Izzo promoted us on Ham Radio Clubhouse. So that was like, I think was a huge thing. And they had us come on. And I really think that was like the start of getting our podcast known. So I think, that kind of mentality of working together and nothing, it's not a competition. It's all about the hobby. And that kind of, that's what I believe in. And I think that's a great way to go. And like I said, it disappoints me, like an organization like the ARL, who's supposed to be supporting that and doing that, tries to like just put a little kink
Wash
in it.
it.
Yeah, because you're doing something that maybe, the people that didn't join the ARL want to be a part of, or you're doing this new way. I mean, I love the idea, like you can go to the website and you're not going to have your own stuff. You're going to have the places to find, like the experts you're going to send us to the experts, right? Like,
Yes.
right. And to me, that's awesome because, one place where it's kind of like you can go to all these different places makes things so much easier. And especially when I was new, because I knew nothing about ham radio. If I didn't meet Eric, like I'd still be a technician on doing the nightly. Now I'm honest, I would have never. And Eric's the one that like was like, "Oh, you got to get your general," and I'm like, I don't think I could do it. He goes, "Oh yeah, you can." And then you got to do POTA and field day, and that was kind of like, it was all that experience that kind of started. And then like all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then once I got my general and he took me to get through the first POTA, like I was hooked. Like I sucked at it, but I was freaking hooked. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I'm buying radios and getting gear for POTA. And that's how it started. Now, again, Eric was just trying to help me out and kind of get me involved. And I think like all those YouTube channels that I watched, like all those things, that's how I learned a lot, and I got into it, and I could Google, like if I had a question, and then one of them would pop up and you could see it, and then I'd start following them. And I think that that's all promoting the hobby versus it's not a competition. We're not trying to steal members from one group. I mean, you can you can be a Discord member or a Patreon member on every YouTube channel if you wanted to, right? And I think it's kind of like the same thing with this. I mean, your ideas, are new, are different, are well thought out, I think. And I think it's a cool thing. And I'm definitely going to sign up. So when we get done with this, you'll see my membership come in because I think I want to be a part of stuff that I think that I believe in and I think is a good idea and support those things, like the Polo. Right. That's the app I use for when when I do POTA. It's free, but you can pay to be, I don't know what it is, like a supporter or something, Polo. So, and I've done that. Like I'm a Polo supporter because I think the app or the logging system is great, and I've used it a lot. And when I joined ham radio, when I got my technician, I joined the clubs that I use their repeaters. Right. I was like, oh, I'm using their repeater. I'm going to join their club because they're providing me the use of the repeater. I should support that. So I hope, if people are watching this and they like what you're saying, that they consider joining, even for a year and get an idea what it's about and even get involved, and then spread the word and have other people look at it, because I think this could be a really good thing for a lot of amateurs, and especially the younger generation who are more about exploring and activating and getting on the air and actually doing ham radio. And like I said, every time I go out and do a POTA, someone asks me, "What are you doing?" And then as soon as they see,
what's that?
Yeah, and as soon as I say, "Oh, I just talked to Switzerland," they're like, "What?" And they get all excited. And I just think that's what it's all about. And I mean, we have guys that do CW that have just done amazing, have gotten so good at CW. It's just awesome, right? Like, and there's so much to do. Like, you can never stop doing. You could always change your mind. Like, you could get into something else. Like 10 years from now, you could be like, I'm done with POTA. I'm going to be a CW guy, right? Like, you never know what happens. But I love the idea that this organization is going to be able to link you to clubs, to resources. You're going to have direct local people you can actually contact and get an answer to a question or your feedback to make sure it gets up. So you're not having like 10,000 freaking emails coming in. Like, you'll be getting emails from, the one guy, the regional guy, and he'll have like a list of things that have come in for the month or whatever, or however it goes. And
and I think that's the way it should be. That whole span of control, write it down, make a list, let's discuss it. But, if we have like 416 members, I think is kind of where we're at right now. You know, 416 people emailed me. I'd be so overwhelmed so quickly. It's not even funny. But you know, we don't have to worry about that because we have, you know, we're going to have those things in place. It's going to be a process. You guys have more subscribers to your YouTube channel than what we have members right now. But hopefully we will grow. I mean, if your subscribers like what they see, join us. So there's a couple things. I think you guys would both agree that, you know, getting youth into amateur radio is a good thing. And I'm sure you guys would go out and do it and advocate that and set up booths where youth are if you could. But, you know, it's not always possible to do, you know, on the local level. There's a company out there, Great Homeschool Conventions. So
we actually have a liaison that is in our club that is part of that. And she's been actually she's trying to get her license first because she's waiting for FCC. But yeah, she's a part of that. And she's been wanting to actually do a lot of advocacy of getting ham radio into these, you know, basically organizations.
Who is that?
That's the Tamron. Remember you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
So put her in touch with me. They have 5 conventions that they put on throughout the U.S. every year. We just became an approved vendor for their conventions.
Oh, great.
Our goal is to go to 2, if not 3, out of the 5. I don't know if we're going to get out here to California, but this one in Ohio is right after Rars Fest. I think it's the weekend before down in like South Carolina. So the next weekend's Ohio. Of course, we'd want to be in the 3. And then either South Carolina or Texas, you know, however it works out with the thing. But if we can go to 3 out of, you know, the 5, that'd be fantastic. And there are families of, you know, that have kids that are just going to these saying, hey, I'm trying to find something for, you know, science or math for my kid to get into. Or I'm trying to find something, you know, for my, you know, curriculum for my kid. And there's absolutely no reason there shouldn't be an amateur radio representative there saying, "Hey, have you heard of what this is?" And clubs can't do it on a, you know, they usually don't have the resources to do it on a local level. But as a national organization, when we reached out to them and said, "Hey, this is what we do," and we're willing to be at, you know, more than one of your conventions. They were more receptive as to having us as a vendor. So that's fantastic. And that's one of the things that, you know, we want to do. But Todd, we live as an amateur radio operator, and there are people out there who are preppers and they just get licensed to have the license and they never talk on it. They don't know how to operate the radio. You know, the ARL would say they're inactive hams. But in general, people who are amateur radio operators are a community of doers. I mean, we invented Morse code. We invented radios. Modern cell phone technology is built on things that amateur radios and tinkers, they developed the technology that we use today for all these other things. And we're not a community that, you know, sits on our butt and has club meetings. We activate. We get out in the park. We build antennas. We do things. And that's the kind of, you know, active amateur radio operators that we want as a part of the organization because they're great ambassadors for the hobby. But, you know, sometimes they may need a little bit of encouragement. You know, when Eric said, "Hey, you got to do this," you're like, I don't know. But once you do it, you realize that, hey, you know, this is, you know, worth my time and effort to put into. And we're just a community of people who do things and tinker with things. That's what amateur radio is. It's a hands-on hobby. It's not just a hobby of sitting around at a board meeting or sitting around at a club meeting without having a ham radio turned on during the meeting, you know?
Yep. Or making sure you're following Robert's rules. So just a couple of suggestions if you're kind of jotting stuff down that I was kind of thinking as you were talking. You mentioned obviously youth, and I know youth is a very important thing, obviously, for us as we'll say, seed planting process, because we all know the usual process for youth is like get them at a young age. By the time they get to their 20s, they're in their career, they're doing their things, they're doing family, and girls get in the way at high school, that whole ordeal. And we lose them for a period of time, cars and jobs, and we lose them. And then when they come back to the hobby, or when they get back that, hey, I remember this, it's usually between their 30 and 50-year-old, time frame. The one thing I struggle with as both the membership coordinator in our club, and I think ARL struggles in general, just the hobby, is finding ways to engage those families or those people that have their active ticket, that are in their 30 to 50. They have families, they have stuff going on, they have life, but to give them still an outlet to be able to come plug in or be part of the organization. And this is kind of where I see the national side would be more useful to them, because it's not like they have to invest a weekly kind of investment, but they would have a way to be able to engage, as a member, and then get member benefits from that in a very rewarding way. But that would at least keep them lockstep in the hobby, that from once they're in your organization and they're kind of, just getting benefits and they're learning and they're still being engaging in the hobby, that you guys from your top down level push back down and say, hey, you should take this now to your local club. Find a local club. Here's a couple of people to talk to. Have your area coordinators kind of, move that needle forward, because the youth will definitely be there forever. And, it's just a matter of just creating the environment for them to be part of it, because youth they get attracted to everything that moves and ticks and allows them to get hands-on experience. But it's the older generation that just the time is so hard to come by, that they can't come to our club meetings because that's our Friday night. They can't be there. They can't be involved because they got a family event, or the kids got to go to basketball or whatever. And I mean, Mike's in the chat, and he, I've heard him several times like, kids basketball gets in the way of a weekend, so he can't do a live stream or whatever. And we all know that. But I could see where you guys could be a big benefit in keeping them engaged, because they just want touch points. They just want feedback. They want, a loop system that keeps them still, ear to the rail thing, but they're not like having to feel like they have to commit one more thing or a little bit more time that they don't have. So yeah, just kind of a thought there.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I'm not out to spam anyone. Like when our members sign up, I send out an email maybe like once a month with just updates of it. Like, this is where we've been. This is what we're doing. This is just what we got just approved to go here. But I try not to, spam weekly or daily emails and stuff like that. But it is good for our members to hear from us every now and then and be like, oh, wow, okay, they're doing something else. That's kind of cool. But I understand what you mean, because, 45 myself, we looked at the contest calendar, and there's a lot of contests out there. And we're like, what week could possibly be free enough for this club week event?
There's none.
and we settled on November 1st through the 8th, but the 1st and 2nd, I was down in Huntsville, so I didn't get on the radio at all like the first 2 days of club week. And it's just like, we're supposed to be promoting this event. And then there was one night when I had the Echolink net, and that eliminated pretty much that night altogether from being on it. And things do get in the way of playing on the radio. As a Parks on the Air enthusiast, I'm probably the least active Parks on the Air person, because I'm too busy doing other things. I don't really, have a chance to go out and play in the park much, and not as much as these other people do. But life gets in the way. So I understand what you're saying about like, let me know what's going on in the community, but like, I don't want to have to commit to a monthly meeting.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. It's kind of like just give them a la carte, kind of, belly up to the buffet kind of thing, and like, here, this is what we kind of offer. We just want to keep your touch points. I think you talked about preppers, and I agree with the fact that what has happened, at least in the world of ham radio, is that people who have latched on to prepping have latched on because they're diehard preppers. But I find that there's a small, thin band of preppers that aren't what I'll call extremists, and I don't mean them extremists in a way, negatory way, but that's all they do. They all think about that. That's all they do. It's all about like building the systems versus just like, getting prepared kind of thing. I hear 100% over and over again that the same thing. It's like, oh, they just get the radio, they throw it in the draw kind of thing, and then they're done, check mark. It's a hard challenge in general, but I think because you're such a new organization, that kind of latching onto those things that ARL has a very difficult time because they're a big, giant Titanic ship, and they can't pivot. Like, it took them 5 years to get TI under their belt and recognizing education as an important role. And it's only because of Steve Goodgame and what he's done and them letting him do his own thing that he's been able to do the amazing things he has. But if he was under the thumb of, I think, the whole organization as a whole, he would struggle very hard, because I know Marvin was a part of that group, and, he definitely had some of the challenges with all of that goes on there. And so it's a matter of maybe, like, not today and not 6 months, but like in your roadmap of 5 years, thinking like, hey, let's try to figure out how we can turn that switch a little bit differently for the preppers to say, hey, we are, an organization nationally that might be able to help you, in a way that you might not thought of, before, and, we're only thinking in the sense of like when the world comes to an end kind of approach. Here's how you can, start to maybe get on the air more and do those types of things. And with maybe the hope that turns that system around, which is a very tough one. And I wouldn't throw it on you guys now where you're just trying to grow, but, on your roadmaps, kind of like as your wishful goals in the next 5-10 years, it might be something to throw on there as a way to be the foothold above where ARL and other, groups that are, kind of still stuck, doing their own thing.
Well, it is one of those things where, you kind of have to think outside of the box sometimes. And one of our key focus areas is engagement, like getting people who've never been on the air, even though they got their license, get these people on the air. So I think it's right in line with our values and our goals and our vision of what we want to do. It's just like, okay, well, now what kind of event or what kind of thing can we do that would get some of these people on the air? And how can we just think outside of the box, something that's maybe it's never been done before, or maybe some people are like, well, that would never work. I have a saying, and I like it. It's one of my favorite sayings, but it goes, the people who say it can't be done are often interrupted by the people doing it.
Exactly. Yep.
And I mean, I believe that. So, I think that's something that we could look at and be like, okay, well, how do we get more of the, and I won't say prepper, but more of the self-preparedness community.
Yeah.
Because that's what I am. I mean, I believe in, self-preparedness, and the government's not going to come in immediately and save you the day after it happens. Look at Hurricane Helene and what it did in North Carolina. So do you have those 3 weeks of preparations where you could be self-sufficient in a disaster for 3 weeks until help arrives, or, the community starts rebuilding? And that's something that we're passionate about. We've talked about, do we create, and like I said, don't reinvent the wheel, but if there's a need, how do we fill it? And do we create something that would be along the lines of the Aries, RACES things, where we have a network of communicators who are properly trained? I'm lucky with what I do, and I program public safety radios for a living. So I talk to a lot of, emergency management agencies, statewide coordinators and stuff like that. We just did an event down by the Texas border where they had the OxCom class, the ComT, ComL class, the incident dispatch class, and being able to sit through all these classes, we heard a lot, of amateur radio, being there as a part of the programming on the state interoperability and the state, backup communications. So that was very encouraging to see all these planners and stuff saying, yeah, we still recognize amateur radio is needed and able to serve, when everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
Hell in a basket. Yep.
Yeah. So I got to be careful. I can't say when all else fails, because you know what else is trademarked?
Yeah, ARLs. I know.
Phrase when all else fails.
I had that on our club website, and I got a nice email from ARL, and they're like, you need to take that down. I'm like, oh my gosh, fine, whatever. I'm not even going to bother arguing. So one other thing that I thought might be worthwhile, because I think from a a content creator, ham radio centric kind of content creator myself, but also live for ham as a whole. Having an ambassador group, because one thing I would do was if I was a content creator, and I obviously saw the value in what you guys are doing, and I became a member for that, then my next step would be like, okay, well, I want to be able to get out there, and I want to be able to kind of encourage others, and kind of be, what we'll call, lack of anything, an ambassador, of it. And so, if there was something like that, or maybe you have something in the mix and you're thinking about that already, that would be something.
That's what we did with our state ambassadors, because we didn't want to have managers and directors and stuff like that, because that shows like a hierarchy. And I'm more of a Knights of the Round Table type person. We're sitting around a circular table. We're all equal. We're all, having a discussion. And even when we do forums at Hamfest and stuff like that, it's not a death by PowerPoint lecture where I'm up there for an hour talking about stuff. It's just like, okay, I'm going to sit down. Let's talk about ham radio. And it's a two-way conversation. Satchel, the definition of a forum is an exchange of ideas. So we call our state representatives ambassadors. And I think that's a great term for them. But yeah, to what you were saying, having a group of ambassadors out there who have access to the information that we have, and to be able to request.
You don't want to call them if you don't need to call them ambassadors, because that obviously is title taking. Call us the street team. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
Because it boots on the ground, or we'll call us the Bogs. There we go.
Yeah, what Mike was saying about the adjacent hobbies and stuff like that, and I'm telling you, man, the outreach, being able to go into the homeschool conventions is fantastic. But in the first paragraph that we have, we focus on 4 key areas: resources, engagement, outreach, and advocacy. And there are communities out there that pair perfectly with amateur radio. Here in southern Missouri, they have a Moore show. It's an off-road convention. In Tennessee, in Pigeon Forge, they have the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. These are off-road
overlanding.
Overlanding type things where we're not there talking to amateur radio operators, even though we'll meet a few, but we're there telling the general community about amateur radio and be like, how amateur radio pairs with your hobby. Things like you again, more outside of the box here, but like a state a hiking association or a regional hiking club or something like that, where they don't think of amateur radio, but these are communities that we can reach out to. People who are avid a watercraft. They go out in canoes, or they go out in kayaks or boating.
We very much do that same thing with our club with 4-H. 4-H has such a wide berth of everything and anything. Like, we have parents reaching out to us that, obviously want ham radio specific, but like, farmers with communications and that whole, and then now you get into Meshtastic, which is, very much getting its, foothold in tracking and that type of stuff. And so, and then APR, I mean, you just mentioned, it's like everything kind of just like you go have one conversation and it just dovetails into 7 million other different areas. And you're like, wow, okay, well, that makes total sense. I should be in this hobby.
Yeah. So, and I think that it's important and that's one of the needs within the community that we saw, is there's not an organization out there reaching out to those organizations saying, hey, can we show up at your, statewide convention and have a booth and talk about amateur radio?
To dovetail on Todd's comment earlier, I'm just going to say, if you need somebody to do that and you want somebody to promote, we'll have some offline conversations, and we can have something in that area to kind of help you out there and promote that stuff. But I wanted to kind of switch just a little bit of a thing in the direction here, but I wanted to talk, so from a nuts and bolts standpoint real quick, as a member. So if, say, anybody today hears this podcast and they're like, oh, I want to go and sign up, what is a member going to get out of this deal? Like what's kind of the base, foundational stuff, and then kind of describe that a little bit, so people have an idea of what they're getting involved in and what their money kind of goes and provides them initially out of the gate.
Starting out, that was the absolute hardest question to answer, because we live in a me society, right? Like, what's in it for me? What do I get out of my membership?
You're helping me in the comment section. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it was so hard to answer that question. because the honest answer was there weren't that many personal benefits, and there still aren't. But it's things that we've been looking at. You'd mentioned earlier about you guys are thinking about doing some kind of a member community or a members only.
Oh, Patreon. We have Patreon, yeah.
Yeah. But we're looking at doing something like maybe a members only community, if you think like Facebook without Meta, right? So it would be a ham radio, Facebook type groups, IO types Discord thing where you get in there, post questions, join, topic groups, like other people's posts, share pictures, things like that. But it would be a member or it'd be a community that our members have access to sign up and join. So that may be a benefit to some people is to have that social circle, online. The other thing that we are actively developing is a resource where you can opt in to receive a notification when your license is about to expire. And this isn't just an email. It's either a text, a call, or an email, or all three whenever your license is about to expire. So we're putting that together through some scripts that we're writing. So that would be a benefit that you get once every 10 years.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So it's things like that where it's just like, okay, what kind of benefit is it? But if you look at the bigger picture of things, if you look at the bigger picture and being informed on advocacy and things like that and what's going on in your state, and just having that ear to the ground in the amateur radio community about, what's going on, that'd be a benefit that we can say, hey, this is happening. We found out about this. We want to share it with you guys so that you guys can act upon that information and reach out to your representatives. So having that other level or another national organization advocating for you on a national level is actually a huge benefit because there are other communities out there. If you talk about like gun rights communities or other hobbies like outdoor enthusiasts or pilots, they have multiple national organizations advocating for their rights. And a lot of these communities benefit from having more than one organization saying, hey, no, you can't take that away. Or we want to expand the rights and we want to, more options. Having more than one member stand up to the government or Congress or whatever and say we want to do this is more beneficial than just having one sole entity. And especially if that entity only represents 22% of the hobby. There's 800,000 licensed amateur radio operators out there. Only 120,000, 123,000. I don't know, the numbers change, but roughly are members of the ARRL. That leaves 700,000 that are not a part of a national organization. That could be, and they're not for one reason or another. And that's a question that we need to look at our survey and be like, well, why aren't you a part of a national organization? Or what would encourage you to become a part of a national organization? Right. And then we act upon that information that we get. So I think it's important to do that survey of the amateur radio community because I think that's a place where we're definitely failing. There should be more amateur radio operators who are supporting the hobby on a national level because the long-term benefits is they get to keep that spectrum. They get, and they get that knowledge and those resources from a national organization that only a national organization can really provide.
Right.
But as far as the individual benefits and getting that weekly, contests to email and stuff like that, yeah, we don't offer those. Magazines, sorry, I don't have one.
And thank you. I don't want another one to hear. My biggest struggle with the magazine, and I don't mind the digital version, I just find that the same content information is probably mostly ready available somewhere else on the internet that I probably could piece together. And great, it's nice to have one central source, but at the same time, I am finishing up my ARL membership for this year, and then after that, I'm not renewing. My biggest thing is like I have never gone back to look at any of the previous issues for any of those antennas. Where do I go? I go to the internet. I go to some, mobile app. And that's the one thing I was going to say, that if you're in the thought process of creating that list of what member benefits are. Mobile apps, whether it's a web-enabled kind of, smart app or something like that, or a true dedicated mobile app, I think that's beneficial for a great communications vehicle. And, obviously where you're at now, you can make adjustments to getting something like that in play and then grow upon it. But having that on a smartphone or a tablet device for me is more easily compartmentalized, where I can just go to that app and I go, oh, this is what's going on with NARA right now. And I don't have to think about oh, am I getting an email or whatever.
Like, honestly, I agree with that 100%, because email is the worst way to communicate with me personally.
I can't get Todd to answer an email.
If he texts me, I will check my email, but I never look at it because I have my work email. I have my W1STJ email, which is the ham radio email. And then I've got my other email where I get literally, I don't know what I'm up to now, probably like 50,000 emails of just crap, right? Like, it's just crazy. What?
Well,
I
think the things too that, some of these, organizations tout as benefits, they're like, they're potential benefits, but as a member, how much do you actually utilize them? I was an ARL member. Whenever I first got licensed, I signed up for the ARL, and in the now 20 years that I've been licensed, I can count on less than one hand how many actual member benefits I've actually used. I've never called them up for technical service. I don't use outgoing QSL service. I don't go through their archives of their things. I've never applied for an award. So those are benefits, not to me.
Yep. Yeah. I've used W1AW in the middle of a G3 storm, and you think I'd actually make a contact to? Zero. So that benefit went out the window, and I totally 100% agree with that, because it's like everyone, we had an ARL section manager come this past Friday for our club membership, and one of the things he toted was, oh, you can engage us for RFI. I'm like, 9 times out of 10, any club member, they'll come up to me and ask me first, what should I do to solve an RFI problem? And I'm not thinking go to the ARL, because God forbid,
they may not get back to you. They might not get back,
they might give you
before they get back to you. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, the reason I think the app, and I wouldn't even say it needs to be even that, that intense, but like the stuff for if something came up, right? If it was hey, your license is about to renew, right? Getting the push notification that pops up as my, hey, your license is going to be way better than, because I probably would miss it, even though I like the idea, because actually they were talking about that at the meeting. The guy's license expires in a week and he never got the notification from the ARL. He was he goes, I don't know what's going on. He goes, I was supposed to get it. Now I the government shut down, whatever. But, that's something that's kind of cool, because like I said, more, especially with the younger generation, no one's going on websites. They're going on TikTok and social media and whatever. And if you just had an app that had just the basic stuff, even a way to sign up, to renew your membership, to, I mean, I don't know.
That. Yep.
Yeah, I think it would be way... I mean, you should have the website, absolutely, but I think it would just be something that would be more beneficial, especially if you're getting the younger generation. Because I think email, when it first came out, it was good, but now you get spam so much. I mean, I've deleted and unsigned or whatever this for thousands of them, and they just keep coming back. I'm convinced, if you say, "Hey, unsubscribe me," you get put on a list, and you get 10 more people coming in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So could it be a web app, the POTA app?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be reinvented. Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be something where you go download, because, like I said, I don't need another.
There's no need to download.
No. I wouldn't even do it with the stores. Do it like the POTA app does it. That way you just have the link on it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play the audio track. Sorry, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Maybe at the end.
I'm glad he's there in the chat, though. He's entertaining.
Mike is always our comic relief for sure. And he's also an instigator, but he hasn't done anything tonight, so I'm okay.
You make some good points on the app, but I do want to say one thing, because I don't want to dog on the ARL too much.
I don't think we are, but yeah.
No, because like Mike said, there are some good articles in the magazines, and even though I might tend to disagree with it, they did recently do the on the air, for the new technicians, which are really, a little bit more non-technical things, and I
But
enjoy
none of
it.
the new technicians in our club ever realize that even exists because they aren't ARL members.
right, and it's not put on there. But I do like. I think doing the On the Air magazine was a great magazine that they came out with. The Teachers Institute is a great thing that they came out with.
100%. 100%.
So now they're doing a year of the club, and I'm kind of pat myself on the back because I think I'm a step ahead because we just did Club Week, right? So we're not waiting until next year to, hang out and talk about clubs. We're doing it now with Club Week, but they're doing a couple things where Club Week is like submit your for their year of the club, they have like a submit your newsletter. So they're having like a newsletter contest for clubs. And then they're doing another thing for a club website, submit your club websites. But when you go and click on there, it's only ARRL affiliated clubs. And I messaged them, I'm like, why just do ARL clubs? Why not open it up to all clubs? I mean, it's the year of the club, or is it the year of the ARL club? Like, specify it. Don't mislead people. If it's just going to be the year of the ARL clubs, say that.
But they're good about doing that. What was that, the 7660 that they ran out that you could like run for free, basically enter for free, but you had to get a membership in order, or renew your membership to be able to get, tickets to be able to get towards that free radio or their Ham Shack giveaway, whatever it was.
Dream station that they have.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So don't get me going on that, but
I don't, we're not anti-ARRL, but sometimes being outside a neutral party, I look at an organization, I'm like, why would you make that decision? Like, what? Like Todd said, why would you make a decision that would impact so many members in a negative way if you claim to be a member association and, you work on behalf of your members? I just question that. But I told the ARL whenever I wrote them this nice, long letter about their trademark thing they sent me. So it was sent to me by the legal department, right? The legal people. But whenever I replied, I included all the directors and all the vice directors because I wanted them to know what the legal department was doing on their behalf. And I said in the letter that the National Amateur Radio Alliance is an organization that works with other amateur radio organizations. We collaborate with other organizations. We're out for the same thing. And I invited the ARRL to become a member of the Amateur Radio Alliance. Yeah. Like, technically, as an amateur radio organization, they are more than eligible to become a member. So for $45 a month, they could become a member of the Alliance.
Did you get a response?
It's an open invite.
Well, please let us know if someday they become a member. I guess they'll be on the website, right?
You will see their logo on the bottom of the website, along with QRZ and ham threads and
again, and that's my biggest thing. Like I don't really have. I mean, I think that organization has a lot of cool things, and I think I do the model airplanes, and there's a national organization. They lobby and they try to help, and they do a lot of good things. But I think what happens is these organizations get big and they get political, right? And that kills it. And then they lose. I'm sure when the ARL was first started, it was started for by hams, for hams, to support hams. And then I don't know when it ever kind of went in a different direction. But like I said, it makes me I was already upset with them, and that's why I haven't joined back when they were saying, well, we can calculate, we can lose this. As soon as they said they were going to lose members, and they were calculating that they could still make more money if they lost members I was like, that's not good at all. That's not what ham radio's about. That's not what clubs are about. That's not what organizations for ham radio should be about. And then you tell me that you put the thing in it, and then they send you a legal thing that you can't use that. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's and then you can't say when all else fails. I didn't even know that they were doing it. What is it that they have licensed to it? When all else fails, ham radio doesn't, or something, or amateur radio?
It's trademarked. When all else fails is a trademarked phrase.
When all else fails?
Yeah, it's a trademarked phrase by the ARL.
Can you add to it, or no? You can't use anything like that.
You can talk to a trademark lawyer.
If you want to dig into that.
And that's what I said in the thing, because they've had the National Amateur Radio or the association, the National Association for Amateur Radio, they've had that trademark technically since like 2023, even though they've been using it forever. And I mean, if I'd won the lottery, sure, maybe we could have argued it and whatever, but it's not worth it.
Oh,
it is not
spend
worth
it on
it.
the good things. Yeah.
Well, I bet you they don't have whenallthosefails.com. Maybe I'll get that thing and I'll just put on all the negative things the ARL does on there.
They don't have the National Amateur Radio or the National American Radio Relay League.com. They don't have that either.
Oh, really?
They have ARL.com, but they don't have like their long name .coms. Don't ask me.
Go ahead, Eric. Go get it.
There we go. Let's get this out of the system here. There we go. All right. Now we're all done with that. So let's kind of like awesome stuff. It definitely sounds like you got a lot going on there, Mike, and I appreciate you having so many irons in the fire with all of this, and you sound like you have a good group of folks that you're starting to build this community with, and I think from a Live Free and Ham process, we definitely want to help promote you guys and continue to move forward. So let's work together a little bit and see what we can do to help you guys out there and be part of that as well. And we'll talk offline, which more to come for all of our audience here who might be listening. But say, one of our listeners is listening and they're part of a club, what's the best way? Like if they were like, hey, I really want to get this into our club, to let them know that there's an alternative, how could they reach out to you? What's the best way to be able to get you in there to have those conversations, to maybe come to a presentation or?
All right. So a couple of things. You can throw my screen back up real quick. You can reach out. Our email's up there at the top of the website, cq@usnara.org.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on the website at usnara.org. Call the 1-800 number, but we can do Zoom presentations. We can send out packets of Discover Amateur Radio, What is Ham Radio, little rack cards. In fact, do I have one? I don't know if I have one on me, but we can send out the little rack cards for a radio as well. And I'd be more than happy to do a presentation for someone's club if they wanted. If they want to join, all of our membership information is right there at the top of the page. There are lots of different membership options. We have options for 65 plus family memberships if there's a family that wants to join. Kind of like what the ARL does with their 3-year membership. We did an individual 5-year founding member. It's signing up for 5 years. We're looking at things that we can do to show the appreciation for the founding members who really help us get that solid foundation. Mm-hmm. And sign up. We're looking at some maybe commemorative pins or a mug that says founding member with the logo and the your call sign on it. If you're an organization, Live Free and Ham is considered an organization. A ham radio crash course is an organization. Any of those organizations, podcasters, YouTubers, the Ham Radio Guy podcast, any of those could sign up as an organization for $45 a year, or corporate. If you have a manufacturer, HRO, DX Engineering, Gigaparts, all of those are corporates, they could sign up. Because the honest thing is, we all have a vested interest in seeing amateur radio succeed. You better believe that Gigaparts wants to see more and more amateur radio operators every year, because that means 100%. They're buying ham radio stuff. Podcasters and YouTubers want to see more people join amateur radio, and they get more subscribers and they get to grow their communities that they have. So we all want the exact same thing. We want a thriving, dynamic, engaged amateur radio community. So it was important to open up our membership to those. Now, and if you look in our shoot over to our bylaws real quick, if you look again in our bylaws, which I can send you a link to them, but individuals and youth memberships, which means 65 and plus, all that, they have voting rights. They're the ones that vote. If an organization joins, like QRZ, and they have an employee there, and an employee is passionate about awards, and they want to join a committee that we have for awards, they can apply to be on that committee. So even though they're not an individual member, even though if their organization or business is a part of it, they can still apply to be on the committee on our awards committee. So that's another thing we did to give our members, as much power as possible. Our committees are not just made up of board members; they're made up of organization members who are part of the organization. Our bylaws talk about the elections and how we do it. Can
a club be
an organization?
Club, that's an organization. Like our ham radio club could be members of NAR.
Absolutely, 100%. And we have a couple of clubs that are like Sedeg Amateur Radio Club. They're a member here.
MoCan is the other one. Yep.
Yeah. But the thing about that is when you join up as a club, we'll send you a link or a QR code that you can share out with your members. And if they decide that they want to join individually, then they'll get a discount on their individual membership.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So instead of doing it the opposite way around where, like the secretary collects all of the members and sends us, a group roster of everyone that wants to join, we just say, you know what, here, pass this QR code around. All of your members get,
Thank you for implementing technology. We appreciate that.
Just keeping it simple.
Oh my gosh, ARL makes it so difficult.
Well, Mike, no, this has been really interesting to me, and I love everything you're doing with it and your
ideas. We should do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Call me back in 3 months. Let's see how we're doing.
We'll do the updates.
We'll give you a year, and we'll basically reschedule you back in for a year and see where you're at. And I'm sure along the way we'll already have some updates.
I move a whole lot faster than that. Okay. Let's get me back.
Then it should be amazing at that point of the year.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, I think you should. I think we'll get you hooked up with our club because we do our meetings once a month, and we're always looking for a speaker, and sometimes it's hard to find speakers. So I thought this was really interesting, and I think a lot of people in our club would be interested just to hear about it and see what we're doing. And it's new, and it's stuff that people might. We might find some people that really want to get super involved with it because it's something they might be passionate about. So
yeah, well, Eric was talking about people that they get into the politics, right? They get so big that you get into and I'm not into politics, but I've adopted more of the Team Rubicon, which they do disaster response and stuff like that. But their philosophy is get shit done. And that's
Can you trademark that?
Yeah, trademark that.
That probably is trademarked, but it's the same thing. You can sit and talk about it, or you can do it, and let's just do it. Why do we have to sit and argue whether or not it's beneficial? You know what? If we do it, and if we have the systems in place to measure whether or not it's beneficial, then we'll discover it is. And if not, you drop it and you don't do it. But
yeah, it's trademark. Sorry. Let's just get shit done.
Yeah.
Let's skip it.
But that's what we want to do. We don't want to sit around and talk about it. Let's go out there and do it and create the events and go to these communities and get people involved in amateur radio and get events out there that get people on the air. And so I think you'll see a lot from us. You'll be hearing it from us. But if you're in Hamcation, come check us out down in Florida. If you're going to be in Ohio, check us out in Ohio.
Yeah. Sorry, we were laughing at Mike's comment. I do politics for a living, so ham radio's my escape. Yes, you do, Mike.
I could go into the comedy business on the side. He's got some.
One more thing, man. That's what he got a YouTube channel for. Anyway,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mike, it was very informative, and we appreciate you finally were able to get your schedule arranged to come on and hang out with us because we've always been, looking for that alternative, and we're super excited here. And I'm sure Grouch would be, sighing a sigh of relief because he's been looking for, that alternative that's not like, all the crap that he's been, commenting on the ARL and looking for, something that's new and fresh and more agile and more mobile and working together lockstep with their membership is is a big thing.
If you want to, if you get into advertising, you might want to buy a huge flag for him to when he jumps out of the plane.
Jumps out of his plane. He might actually do that for you. We can work something out there. We'll definitely.
Hey, that's outside of the box, man. I like that outside the box thing.
He does go down to Huntsville. He'll be down in Huntsville this year, so you might want to just cross paths and
as he's flying down.
Actually, he's also jumping from Hamvention. Yeah, him and Carlos will jump together this year. So
that's awesome.
Maybe you can put together a banner. We'll never know.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Eric and Todd, I can't stress this enough, though. If anyone listening or if anyone that you guys know are even like remotely interested in what we're doing, $32 a year, I think it's very reasonable for the organization. But we have like over 1,100 people on Facebook. We only have 400 members. If those people on Facebook, decided to just pull the trigger and become members of the organization, our foundation would just grow so much more and become so much more solid. These homeschool conventions, they cost money to get into. Going to Hamcation costs money to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're even thinking about joining, I just encourage you to join and put your money where your mouth is. That's what I'm doing. We're just doing it. We're not talking about it. We're just doing it. So if I could, and when we go to like Hamfest and stuff like that, we're not paper pushers. We're not like, throwing paper in front of you and be like, hey, you can sign up today, right here. We're not, we just want to educate people and let them know that, hey, we're out here. And this is what we're doing.
Stick the QR code on the table. Be like, oh, how do you join? I just do the websites on the QR code.
It just goes back to, what? If you share our vision, why would you not? Like, help us achieve our vision if you share it.
And you're saving $20 easily because, ARL's 59, so there you go.
Right? That's a good start.
Yeah.
If it's just money, then that's like the perfect, answer for everything. So very cool. Well, Mike, it's been awesome. And definitely we will check back in with you. We'll have you back on. I'm sure you still be partnering up with Marvin with Winter Field Day too, right?
Yes, so the Winterfield Day.
So we'll see you in literally a month.
Right around the corner. Okay.
Yep. Well, Marvin's already reached out to us to have.
I'll have a different shirt on there.
Exactly. As long as it's a shirt, that we like to make sure we're a clothing, not a non-clothing optional show.
We're not going to Grouch with us this year, but we're going to have his tents.
Well, yeah, we'll have him in spirit. He'll be down in Florida doing Winterfield Day while we're up here. So freezing our took us off.
Going to get a picture of him. We're going to get a cardboard cutout and
dump him in.
I'll tell you what, guys, it was a pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me because it enables one more way for us to spread the word. And thanks for everything that you guys are doing on the podcast side up there, and getting other people active and encouraging them to go out and do the poll and do stuff like that. And the podcast is definitely a great way to reach people because we are a very visual, social media, driven community right now. So. It's awesome that you guys are doing what you guys are doing. So
make sure
thanks for having me.
And plug your little ham radio store because I've gotten a lot of good stuff from there. It's good quality stuff.
Right? Because so the other thing I have is the hamstuffonline.com, and I'll tell you what, Christmas is coming up, and I don't want to tell people don't buy from me because you want people to buy from you, but holy moly, there's only so many hours in my day. But no, if you do want more ham stuff, hamstuffonline.com. That's a shameless plug for that, or polagear.com if you like the polo gear.
So I have one of your the big green mats like on my shack, but I found an error on it.
Is there? Are you the one person who wrote me in the last year to tell me?
No, I didn't write it. I didn't. Okay. I think it's an error, unless this was the website, because I think I just talked to you, and I don't know how I bought it, but I think I did it at the Marlboro place. But anyway, it says www.cluggear.
Clug
with a G.
Club Gear Online, right?
Yeah, but this one is Clug. CLUG Gear Online. That's what's printed.
Take a picture of it. I want to see it.
I'll show you.
Take a picture and send it to me. I'm very curious about that.
You might want to, yeah. But no, it was like I said, the store. Just my personal experience. It's got a lot of cool stuff. I use the metal general band plan all the time when I'm switching to bands at Poto when I'm not used to. That I'm like when I do like 12 or 15 and I'm not always on that. Make sure I'm in the right thing. Those are awesome. ID cards are really cool to have. I mean, there's just a lot of cool stuff that you got, and I don't know. I'm just supporting you. Tell everyone watches, go in there and buy your POTUS stuff, buy your ham radio stuff.
And I'll tell you what, as people support me, that really does support the Alliance. I mean, indirectly, because I've invested. We're probably up to $6,000 or $7,000. Geez, I know we're almost at 2 hours and 40 minutes. One more thing I want to add to this is I knew if we were going to do this and if we were going to do it right, I'm not intelligent enough to do it myself. So I employed the Foundation Group. They're a company in Nashville, Tennessee that focuses on nonprofit compliance. And we paid them $3,500 to help us get the organization legally the way it should. They basically have a money-back guarantee that if they do our paperwork and file our stuff with the IRS, then we'll be guaranteed to get that nonprofit status. And I knew if we were going to be an organization that could grow into 50,000 or 100,000 members and we could have an operating budget of millions of dollars, we can't look back 2-3 years from now and be like, would have, should have, what if we'd have done that? We had to do it right. So I ended up spending the money and employed the Foundation Group to help us with the bylaws, to help us with the IRS forms, to get our state incorporation, to get the charitable solicitation, documentation so that we could do all that. And it's been a pricey trip, but again, you have to do it right because
you did it the opposite of Hamgenuity, Mike. What's wrong with you? Come on, it would have been grit, spit, and duct tape. It's like, oh, we can find off. AI will produce us a set of bylaws. It'll be good,
right? Oh, me and AI have lots of conversations back and forth.
Same here. All right, cool. Well, I posted the link there in the chat. We'll definitely have it in the description there for Mike's shop, and you can definitely head over to. Just had the link there. Give me that link one more time to the National Alliance again.
USNARA, USNARA.org.
There we go. All right. So will those all be?
You see Mike's little joke there with make sure you're in the 17-meter band when we were doing the.
Oh yeah.
So Mike, I don't know if but we were doing our kilo at. And Mike said, he goes, make sure you're in the general portion of the band. Because I said, let's do 17 meters because I don't have 17 meters at this park. Mm-hmm. And then we like, oh shit, like, are we on it? Mm-hmm. So it made us stop and look. It was pretty funny.
I had to pull
those reference, the reference material and reference things that I produce really come in handy. Not just for other people, but I use them as well because
guess where Todd's reference mat was. It wasn't in front of us. It was in his Jeep. Real good use.
Well, I normally have it out, but I don't even I use the smaller one because I got the smaller one too, and I use that to like wrap my radio in my backpack just to kind of give it a little protection, and then I go to the table and I put it out and I let it sit on there. But we were doing it on Eric's. It was like real quick. I was a little late.
It was my fault. Got it.
Well, the thing was huge. It wasn't even going to fit on the table. So anyway, normally I have the card, right? So he's like, well, we're going to put one on 20 and one on 10. Well, I already know where those are. So I was like, all right, I don't need it. And then like, oh, let's do 17. It was in the car. So, but normally I do, like, if I know I'm going to be switching bands, I always, put it out and have it sit next to me just to reference. So, but anyway.
Lessons learned. All right. Well, with that, let's wrap this up here. As always, thank you guys again for joining the Live Free and Ham podcast community. We truly appreciate everyone who supports the show. We obviously can't thank you guys enough for this episode and being part of the community as a whole. So if you always want to connect with us, you can head over to our Discord server and join in that conversation. That community is quite thriving and awesome. So definitely don't miss out. Come be part of that. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and catch all that awesome content over there, including this episode when it airs next week. And leave us a review if you want to, and you can use our voicemail line at 978-233-1142. And as Grouch always says, call for a good time, and he's not kidding. So you can always support our show and by doing join our Patreons or buy us a beer or head over to our storefront and pick up all our merch over there. And with that, thanks again for listening. And from all of us here tonight, Live Free and Ham, 7-3.
7-3, guys.
7-3. Peace.